Welcome back to the World Fischer Random Chess Championship. I'm Grandmaster Robert Hess. Alongside me today, as per usual, is Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Danya, 8 players made their way to today's knockout bracket. It's going to be a doozy.
It will, and it was a slugfest yesterday. The qualifying score was 6.5. We had losses, upsets. We had crazy moments galore, and today, with it being a knockout on top of everything else, I think we're in for another epic day of 960.
I agree, and I think some people will never quite get used to this format, so let's remind them of what happens in Fischer Random Chess. The standard rules of chess apply, but the pieces start in one of 960 different semi-random starting positions, and black and white must have the same setup. But that means a knight can be on b1 and b8, or a knight can be on a1 and a8. The knights, the bishops, the rooks, the kings, the queens, all those pieces in the back row, they can have a different starting point. So that means opening preparation is out the window.
Tons of variety. Opening preparation is null and void, and as players, I mean, the more experienced Fischer Random players, they might come across a familiar position, but that is incredibly rare. And this lack of preparation gives the game a certain kind of freshness and the potential for tactical craziness from the very first moves. And that is why we watch, and that is why we love Fischer Random so much.
We certainly do. Variety is the spice of life, and you get variety here at Fischer Random. And there are several players already invited to the big show in Reykjavik, Iceland, taking place later this year. 3 of those players are on screen in front of you. There's Magnus Carlsen, the world chess champion; Wesley So, the Fischer Random World Champion, who beat Magnus Carlsen several years back head-to-head. And then there's Grandmaster Hjorvar Stein Gretarsson from Iceland, very strong player, an Icelandic champion. He is the local invite. There will be a FIDE nominee, and that leaves 4 spots up for grabs, one of which will be determined here in the first qualifier on chess.com. We saw the Swiss yesterday. We are about to get into the knockout, and the final will commence tomorrow. So there will only be 2 players who escaped today and will be playing tomorrow. And Danya, which players will that be? Because our bracket, we have 8 contestants remaining, all of these super strong grandmasters. And as you highlighted yesterday, sometimes grandmasters who may not be 2700 classical chess, they thrive in a format without opening preparation.
They absolutely do, and we saw that yesterday. Now, we saw certain players who advanced again and again in the RCC. Those include Sam Sevian, Jose Martinez, also known as Jaspem, even Alexander Bortnik, Fedoseev. So we saw a couple of the regular suspects, but we saw a couple of relatively new players. Alexander Shimanov played incredibly well. He faces Bortnik in the first round. Benjamin Bach against Fedoseev. That is a matchup of a super tactical player against a super solid player. I'll leave you to decide which is which. And then I'm really excited to see Vidit in the knockout. I mean, the guy is an absolute beast. I was surprised he didn't win more RCCs. And the combination of Vidit's speed, the fact that I have a feeling he's experienced in Fischer Random, I think he has every chance to go far today.
Yeah, you are correct that he does have experience, because when the Fischer Random World Championship was taking place a few years back, he was one of the 6 contestants vying for a live spot in the final. He didn't quite make it there, but he made through his bracket, of which I was a member. So I remember that quite clearly. So Vidit Gujrati, he gets to play Eric Hansen, the chess bra, well known for his streaming, but people sometimes forget. And one of the people who people forget about the most is Peter Svidler. They're like, oh, what a great commentator he is. They forget that he's also an exceptional world-class chess player. Eric Hansen, much the same. You know, he is fighting for first place in Title Tuesdays in most weeks, and here he is in the knockout bracket. And what does today's action look like? Speaking of a knockout bracket, well, if you lose the match, you're gone. And it is single elimination, unlike the recently concluded Rapid Chess Championship. 2-game matches with a 15-minute plus 2-second increment time control, so you should not be flagging. If you lose on time, that's a you problem. But each match will have a randomly selected starting position. So you get white and black in the same position, Danya, which means that when they finish game 1, game 2 starts immediately after.
It does, and all of the games run simultaneously, so we are going to be hopping around and toggling game from game and updating you on all of the positions. But I like the time control. It's very generous. You've got plenty of time to acquaint yourself with a starting position. And like you said, time scrambles, they're going to be a little bit more rare today. If you lose on time, yeah, that's completely on you. you're given a very generous amount of time today.
Yes, and don't be surprised, everybody, when the players spend 2 minutes on their opening move,
Right.
because that's how important it is to find the right strategy in Fischer Random. With 15 minutes and that increment, you can burn a bit of clock just so you don't blunder a pawn on move 2. We saw that a bunch of times yesterday, Don. You remember that
And not
game?
just a pawn.
Yeah,
in exchange.
Right? Like a bishop takes a2, slicing across the board, winning a rook on b1. So you have to be very, very careful in this format, because with the pieces scrambled compared to your normal setup, it's not always easy to recognize what is what. And Danya, the hour has hit. It is about time for these games to start. The players, they're getting ready. They're getting set. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes working so hard. The chess.com staff make sure everyone knows the regulations, that they're all on camera. Fair play is being upheld here. So I'm really looking forward to see these 8 players duke it out.
Yeah, we're just going to see so many fresh ideas. And, like I said, we're not going to have to wait 10, 15 moves for the interesting part of the game to arrive. The interesting part of the game arrives on move 1. That is the Zen of Fischer Random. That is the reason for its existence. And Sam Sevian, I'm very excited to see him as well. He has been on such a roll of late, and I'm interested to see whether that role transfers over to Fischer Random. So as we look at the bracket one more time, Jose Martinez against Sam Sevian. That's on the top left of your screen. Great matchups, Robert. We really can't go wrong today.
And let's not forget that 1 versus 8 matchup is a direct rematch of the 9th and final round from yesterday's action, because most players were taking quick draws. Sam Sevian declined Jose's draw offer, beat him, and that means he gets the top seed overall in this field. That was important to Sevian. We saw him use that in Rapid Chess Championships when he scored very highly in those events. So good for Sevian, but all the other players are like not so good for us, because if you look across the bracket, whether it's Hansen and Vidit Gujrati, they'll wait the winner of Sevian versus Chesscom. I don't know who the favorite is, Daniel. I say that sincerely.
Yeah, no, Chesscom played incredibly well yesterday. I was trying to decode a certain mystery as to why Benjamin Bach has a Polish flag next to him. But then I realized that's actually a Dutch flag. I think the blue is camouflaged by the blue background on which these cards are written, which is really, really funny. But Benjamin Bach, not to be underestimated. I mean, the guy is as solid as a rock. He's really good, I think, at adjusting to new positions. And I could make a case, and I say this before the RCC. I don't really mean it as much before the RCC, because we know if Andraken or Hikaru is playing, they're usually going to win. Here I can actually make a case for basically anybody to win the entire thing and to qualify. But if I had to give a favorite, I would probably stick with either Fedoseev or Vidit, and not biased at all.
Yeah, no, that's...
I'm not friends with either of them.
Well, I think those are reasonable choices. They are the highest rated players in classical chess, along with Sam Sevian. And Vidit has shown a history of success in 960. And Fedoseev, he's been in form lately, right? We saw him go quite far in the Rapid Chess Championship. We know how good his mouse skills are. The only time his mouse skills have failed him, Danya, if you remember, was game 1 yesterday, when he dragged his rook from f7 back to f8, and it got captured by that knight on d7. So after round 1, he was scorching hot. He was just on absolute fire. But Fedoseev and Vidit, I think those are 2 good calls. I'll throw Sevian into that ring as well. I think that Sevian has proven that he's made that leap. Sometimes youngsters, when they exit their teenage years and enter their 20s, how old they are, they don't get to make that leap from, say, 2670 to 2700. Sevian recently has made that leap, has shown tremendous strides, whether it be over the board at events like the American Cup and the U.S. Championship, and also in online events like the Champions Chess Tour and the Rapid Chess Championship. So I think that Sevian, he's right there knocking on the door.
He absolutely is. And to that great explanation, I would just add that Fedoseev, I think, is using a trackpad. So that's going to be interesting. But the 15+2 time control is going to be music to his ears. I was also going to ask you, as we run some final checks, make sure all the players are set. I feel like we're 2 pilots, before taking off. We got to make sure the engines are oiled and there's fuel in the tanks and all the right buttons are pressed. Do you remember when you got introduced to Fischer Random? Do you remember the day? Was it love at first sight?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. You're making me talk about my love life here on a stream in front of many people.
Exactly right.
I actually have always loved Fischer Random because I'm not an opening theoretician at all. I think anyone who's seen my games knows that. In fact, when I play in tournaments, I often play a different opening every single game if I can. So I enjoy,
Amen.
right? I enjoy the competitive aspects, less so the scientific aspects of chess where I have to like go through the theory. But that said, it can be very confusing for people, right? Because you need general principles in Fischer Random, just like you do in chess. Some of them still apply. Controlling the center, of course, is a big part because the standard rules of chess are the same.
The center is still the center, right? The board is still composed of 64 squares, a queen side, a king side, a center.
Right. But I think the most difficult part about Fischer Random is knowing where to castle and when to castle, because sometimes we've seen that yesterday, right, Donnie, where people castle very early and then immediately the bar says that was a bad decision, which I mean, every coach has always taught you castle early, get your pieces out. And yet in Fischer Random, because the king can go from B1 all the way over to G1 if you're not careful, because the king can castle kingside if the king and rook haven't moved, then it could be a decision that you regret when your opponent scoots on over to the other side.
Yeah, the king's movement is a lot less predictable in Fischer Random. And to that, I would just add, the other hard thing that I noticed is actually in many starting positions, mobilizing the queen. And not just a queen, there's often one piece that is very, very hard to mobilize. And when that piece is the queen, and you don't do a good job getting your queen out of the gate, you can basically, that can be a death sentence for the rest of the game. If your queen is on A1, and you just, let's say, nonchalantly play the move B3, and your opponent puts a bishop somehow onto that diagonal, you can get screwed over immediately. So lots of minefields to avoid, lots of hot coals that you have to step on, and the games have begun. We hope your seatbelts are fastened. Sevian versus Jospin on the screen to begin the day of knockout.
Yeah, no, I was listening to you, but also just looking at the pieces. Right. There we go. Kings on G1 and G8. And so the way you castle in this position is you move your knight out from F1, and then you could bring that rook on H1 over to F1. But that could be an incorrect decision. You may not want to do it that quickly. So, in this starting setup, I really believe that you need to take your time, and you have the 15 minutes to do so.
You do, and Sevian played his first move pretty quickly. I like how generally what happens is you look at the position, you say, I don't really know what to do, but my opponent's a good player, I'm just going to copy him. So we get a surprising amount of copycat openings in Fischer Random.
Right, because you don't have anything to go off of, right? Normally, like, oh, I remember looking at this Taimanov 6 years ago when I was working with this player. Now it's like, I've never seen any of this before. Let's go for the first time. So knight G3, that move makes sense to me. And I think that while black can copy, why not go to the center? Knight E6.
Yeah, knight E6 makes sense.
It looks like a better square to my eyes.
Then perhaps, no, he goes knight G6. He likes what Sevian is doing. My inclination is to play the move B3 at some point. I like fianchettos in regular chess. I'm partial to them in classical chess, but I'm particularly partial to them when you can activate your bishops quickly in Fischer Random. I'm also flirting with a move bishop D1 to G4 at some point, trying to basically play against black's queen.
Right. I mean, you say B3, why not B4? And that's, I think, a big difference that happens in Fischer Random is like in standard chess, we're like, we don't make moves like B4. That's too much. But with a bishop not on the F8, A3 diagonal, maybe we can gain a little bit more space from the start with a move like B4.
So that's really interesting. I think that's a difference between you and me. My instinct is to play B3. I'm almost afraid to play B4 because I'm afraid of creating further weaknesses. I think largely it's a matter of style. And it's fascinating how style works in Fischer Random. You have stylistic issues that aren't really shared in regular chess. This isn't as an issue that arises that often, right? But in Fischer Random, because space is more important, moves like B4 or G4 rather than G3 and B3 become completely viable.
No, it's true. And we see that knight C6, the response, if that pawn were on B4, you could play B5 and kick the knight right out there.
I understand what you're saying, yes. Point taken.
But I actually take your point quite to heart, because when you are unfamiliar with a position, and I'm not claiming to be familiar with it, I'm seeing it for the first time, but you don't make moves like B4 because you're worried about the repercussions. You say, I don't know if I should overextend here. Is this acceptable? So the players, they're dealing with everything like they are complete newcomers to the game. And so look at this bishop on D1, by the way, and the bishop bishop on d8, and then black's bishop on a8, right? There's a knight on c6 in the fianchetto path. So it's really going to be a situation that is not easy to figure out.
Yeah, and again, there's the issue of the queen. You could, I suppose, play d3, but then you'd have to reckon with these weird ideas like h6 and bishop g5, and the queen could potentially get banished to the queen side, which could be undesirable. Knight c3 by Sam Sevian. So they're still playing very similarly to each other. If black plays b6, we have an exact symmetry, but something tells me Jose is going to play something different. Yeah. I have a feeling he's going to deviate right here.
Well, he can castle if he wants, right? He can bring that rook on h8 over the king
castle,
into f8.
Why would you really need that? I'm fine with the rook on h8.
Yeah, it looks fine. Maybe you'll play h5 and do things like that. No, I get it. I get it. You don't feel any rush, and he brings the knight into d4.
Yeah, knight d4 is an interesting move. It could be kicked out, of course, with a later c3, but for that to happen, white would have to move his knight. It's not entirely clear where to put it. If white plays knight d5, then, which he does. Oh, I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to maneuver the knight back to e3, and then probably put one of these knights on f5. And if black plays c6, then that, of course, creates an additional hole on d6.
That's a really good point. And that bishop on 8 looks useless.
Yeah.
There, right? It's like, you like to say bad bishops defend good pawns, but I don't even know if that bishop can be considered bad. That's giving it too much of a compliment. So
that bishop is just a cadaver. Yeah.
b6 played instead. And yeah, that knight can drop back to e3, although I don't really think that black is threatening to take on d5. And the question I keep asking is it time to castle? Should we castle? I feel like
there yet.
Yeah, there's no way that any side's castling long, so you might as well castle short.
c3 by Sam. Now, there's an asymmetry in the sense that, you know, yes, he blocks his own bishop in, but at his leisure, he can basically play the move c4 whenever he wants.
That's true.
And reactivate the bishop.
Like right now.
Such as right now.
Yeah.
But then the knight might come back to d4.
It's true. No, you don't really want the knight there, but if the knight's going to be there and you capture it, you'd rather have your pawn c4 than on c2. So he does go knight e3, and all right, both sides.
Wait, I don't like that move.
Me neither. I actually just like black's position.
Knight d5 to e3 on his own volition. I thought he should have chilled on d5 for a while. You didn't need to rush with this move.
I agree. And I mean, the players, they're just trying to, get themselves set here. Knight d3 was a huge threat. That's why the queen went up to c2.
I personally, my inclination would have been to put the other knight on f4, and there's a specific reason for that. And the eval bar is laughing at me, but it's in order to have the potential to play h5 and g6 and restrict this knight on g3 to play against that knight. But just a thought. I don't think this is critical or anything.
Well, you can play h5 now, and a big point is that white can't play h4 because the knight on g6 and the bishop on d8 team up on the square. So I see your point for sure, and I'm wondering if right now Jose's like, let me just push that pawn forward and go for Sevian's king.
Yeah, you can also play in the center. You can castle here. I think you should get that out of the way. I don't know what this aversion is to castling by both players. But at some point, black could also strike with d7, d5. Nothing happened to the idea of controlling the center. And, white's a little bit passive here. The bishop is bad. And the standard prescription for exploiting a difference in piece activity is to open up the position.
Right. And I also think the move knight h4 with your idea in mind of d5, like this could actually be very harmful for that white king over on g1, because knight h4, while the g2 pawn is defended for now, don't discount a sacrifice on that square for some kind of knight checks and an attack, especially if you push the d pawn and get a queen out to h3. It could be very scary.
It absolutely could be, and I think that is exactly what Jospin is contemplating. Perhaps these two ideas. If he plays h5, that's incredibly committal because it'll be harder to castle. And if he castles, it'll be harder to play h5. So this is the moment when he is likely to choose a course of action for the next couple of moves. But I really like his position. Yeah, the eval bar is giving equality, but I think Jospin is off to a good start here.
Yeah, it is looking very, very nice for him. I think he's shown just really good skill lately with the black pieces, not just in Fischer Random, but remember his game against Dingley Ren in the Rapid Chess Championship? It seems like he knows when the right time is to counter and to strike.
And speaking of countering and striking, knight g6 to h4, as you mentioned, aiming at the g2 pawn. Black's got a nice position here.
Looks very good. So what about our other contestants? So all four matches are underway here. Yeah, I mean, this game
They're not
is
very good, though.
this game is definitely starting to heat up, but I was wondering if any of the other games have caught your eye. Although now that I look, this is definitely the most exciting one.
It's the most exciting one. I mean, we could take a brief look at one of them if any one of them catches your eye. Maybe Bortnik against Shimanov.
Okay, let's do that.
Maybe we can briefly take a look and then come back to this game. Because
All right.
this game there's some imbalance already. And
No, I was just looking at the position and just counting pieces. It is even, but you're right. There's not a symmetrical pawn structure.
Well, because Black played c5 very early in the game, which is generally a good thing for Black. I mean, Black now has, one could argue, better control of the center. Like there is the possibility of going d5 and e5. But I wouldn't play like that. I wouldn't obstruct my pieces with my pawns in this case. I would even consider, just like in the Jospin game, ideas like h5, h4. Maybe knight h4 as well.
You know what's funny? Just a moment ago before knight d2 was played, I was like, wait, why can't you just take on d7? And then I realized...
Oh, yeah. I had that thought, too. I was like, yeah, the pawn's hanging. Because you think there's supposed to be a rook on d1, not a bishop.
Right. I was like, wait, d7 looks loose. And that's what I'm always doing, by the way, in 960s. I'm looking what pawns are loose. And right now, for example, white has a loose a2 pawn, and black has the d7 pawn that is not defended by anything. But your major point is a great one, that this bishop on a8 is the best piece. I'm already thinking of the move knight c6 to e5, following it up with maybe like a queen c6 or a knight h4, and things can get very dicey for white in a hurry.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely idea. And if white just nonchalantly makes random moves, it can be surprisingly hard to defend against a threat like queen c6. I'll mention something else. After knight c5, there's a hidden threat that's created. I didn't even see this until the move is on the board.
I didn't see it either, but now that you mention it, yeah, knight d3.
Look, you mentioned loose pieces, undefended pieces in Fischer Random. So important to identify. This doesn't just win the exchange; it wins the full rook. You can't even take the knight.
Oh my goodness.
And it's going to evacuate through g2, which is the saddest part of all.
That would be a tragedy for Bortnik. So after the move knight c to e5, which I didn't even recognize was threatening knight to d3, that might mean a move like bishop e2 is forced. And it feels like white is parrying off black's threats, and black is the one getting active quickly with moves as you're showing, like knight to h4.
Bishop a5 is also in the... I mean, like, lots of stuff.
I mean, white's just so passive here.
Yeah, I'm thinking like bishop f1, somehow bishop a5 threatens bishop takes d2 and knight f3 check.
No, this is scary business.
Oh, and like c3, there's already bishop takes g2 and knight. I mean, there's so much richness in black's position here. And when you play passively in Fischer Random, you get the chance for unconventional tactics. But as we talk about this, look at Shimanov's move. He plays d5.
All right. Well,
I don't like it.
And then immediately Bortnik strikes with h4. And
he was holding his breath there.
Look at the quality of the bishops now. The bishop on a8 was great. Now it's staring into a knight and a pawn. Now after h5 and maybe h6, the black king could be on danger over on the king side. So I am liking the way this has gone for Bortnik. Just one very natural move. My coach always taught me to put my pawns in the center, and now I feel like white suddenly has the initiative in the upper hand.
Yeah, I think Shimanov couldn't get his kingside attack to work, so he sort of defaulted to the center move. But closing down your biggest piece, I think, is a serious strategic error, and this gives Bortnik a very easy game. In Fischer Random, it's not just about the computer eval. It's also about, okay, are you giving your opponent a plan that is familiar to you from regular chess? And try this line on for size, Robert. 97, h6, g6.
Oh,
I'm
I know
actually
you're
looking
doing.
At 94.
Yes.
But the crazy line, I think this works. The e4, 94, you can see the eval bar is bearing this out. If black steps back to b6, check, and fork on d7, look at how the single knight is dominating black's entire army.
That's unbelievable. And you would never usually get a move like knight d7, but that's what happens when the pieces are scrambled in the way that they are. So knight goes back to f8.
That's why, partially, I think. So the bishop controls f6.
Yeah, but this position looks very shaky, right? Even I'm trying to get my knight to e4, so move like c4, just trying to get you to move that d5 pawn, and so I can put a knight e4, and then the next knight coming to f5. Danya, this looks really scary for black.
This was an awful stretch for Shimanov. And the pawn on d5 is doing so much more harm than good. You're absolutely right. The knights are going to jump into these light squares, and there's going to be mate threats in the blink of an eye. Black can't castle. The entire king side is gummied up. This is bad news for Mr. Shima.
Right.
Okay, h6 is reasonable as well.
Yes, h6 is prying open the dark squares, and g6 is forced. So I don't know what. Is there anything else but g6 here, Donnie? I can't see Black not playing that move.
No, you got to play it. You can't. You couldn't have allowed your king side to get destroyed like that. And now I like c4, especially with the f6 square getting weakened.
It's f6 and d6 and all the dark squares. Oh my!
Yeah, this is really, really bad. The Sevian Jospin game is continuing to heat up, but we can also take a look at the Fedoseev Bach game really quickly. What suits your fancy?
Yeah, we haven't looked at Fedoseev Bach or Vidit against Hansen, so why don't we go to the Vidit game first, if you don't mind? All right, I guess you're already
No, I don't mind.
Well, I just saw a huge moment in this game, and that's why I want to look. The move g6 was played, Danya. And I'm wondering, in very Naroditsky-like fashion, is Queen h6 available?
What would Dan do here? Dan play Queen h6 and sack all of his pieces and lose?
Well, gf5, knight h5.
Knight h5, yeah. Okay, knight e6 and
he takes f5.
But bishop g5.
Oh, did I just trap the queen?
No, you have knight f6 check there. Actually, I think you're still attacking. But you know what I would play here? My first instinct is to play the move f4.
Yeah, I knew you were about to say that.
I think f4 is actually not so bad.
No, I think all moves look pretty good for white because Black's king is getting hunted.
Yeah, the move apparently is rook. Oh, what a line. Rookie, look at this line. Rookie 3 f4. Knight takes f4.
Oh.
And if e takes f4, why did you get rid of the knight? So that you have the h3 square for your rook. And either Black can defend h7 or g7, but not both.
Right, because knight g5 allows queen g7.
Queen g7.
Checkmate at the end.
And after knight takes f4, you give a check on g3, and now you play my move, f4, with a devastating attack against Black's king.
Even though white is now 2 pieces,
incredible.
It's Black that's losing because you have nothing shielding your king from all of this.
Again, it's that bishop in the corner. It's a theme in a lot of different games.
It's me in the corner. It's me in the spotlight. I mean, just losing my religion and going for checkmate is Vidit Guzrathi.
What song is that? Am I supposed to know that?
You just get out of here. You don't know REM?
No. Is that like Limp Bizkit?
Oh my gosh, Tanya, you don't have to do this to yourself. I was trying to just move on and just pretend like you didn't, that you knew
pretend
everything.
That I knew, right?
Yeah, I was trying to help you out, but you're too honest.
I'm an agent of truth. I pursue knowledge.
This is your cherry tree,
no matter the costs. Right.
Yeah, your honesty is appreciated. But I mean, Queen h6, Danya. I mean, this looks very scary for Hansen. He might have to ignore the knight and then drop his knight back to e6, I guess.
Yeah. Then I still perhaps play f4, and there's knight h5.
Oh.
The problem is also that Vidit, I mean, his knight is hanging. So it's not one of those things where, this comes out of the blue. Queen h6 is an obvious move. He sees it, but, will he have the cojones to go for it?
Yeah, I think he does, because there's no downside, right? We were just talking about all these lines where unless he miscalculates and sees ghosts and thinks he's just down a piece and doesn't get the compensation, Queen h6, as we're talking about, just feels very, very natural here.
Agreed completely, but Vidit is taking his time. He's burned through over half his clock, so he'll have to move in pretty timely fashion.
That's right. So while he sits and thinks and ponders if Queen h6 is the right choice, should we go to that last game between Bach and Fedoseev that you pulled up earlier?
Let's do it. We have the following position, Vladimir with the black pieces, and in a lot of trouble here against Benjamin. Oof. Oh gosh, this is a terrible position for Black. Look at that knight on a6. It's doing absolutely nothing.
What is this? Look at the king on g8, by the way. He hasn't. I guess Black can castle now. By the way, Black can maybe still castle queenside.
Let me try. Yes. That might be Black's ticket out of hell. That's so funny that you can castle queenside.
Well, I was thinking about it because I remember all 4 games had the same starting position, and the rooks started on the e file. So unless the rook shuffle back and forth, that means castling queenside is legal. So Benjamin Bach better not forget about that, because if he's going all in for an attack on the black king, then that king can just teleport over to the other side.
Well, he's definitely going all in. I think if black takes on e4, then the move f5 strikes me as totally devastating.
Happens too fast, yeah.
And black just won't be able to castle. So Fedoseev goes knight d4.
But now he can't castle through check. Don't forget the rules of chess.
The rook on e1 is covering the e8 square. Exactly.
Wait, this feels like an imprecise move order. If we just go back a turn, right? And you castle queenside, and then e takes f5 happen. Now you can play knight d4 if you want. And I feel like black has very reasonable play for the cost of the pawn.
Practically speaking, I agree. I mean, you have the potential to open up the g file. You have a queen stationed on a good square. You have that bishop on a8. So this would require, at the very least, precision from Benjamin in order to keep his advantage. But Fedoseev going knight d4 first, and now he starts thinking, and castling the other way, Robert, doesn't come with the same, doesn't carry the same luster as castling queenside. The king is not as safe here.
And after fg6, hg6, remember, not only is the king safer on c8, but the h file being open would have been great if you had a rook on h8. But you don't have any attack here. So I think that I'm not positive, because I'm not in Vladimir's head, but I feel like he thought he could castle queenside, and now he's realizing he can't castle through check.
Yeah, that's a bit of a cold shower, and he takes on e1. Now he can't castle at all because he gave up his rook. My guess is that he's going to castle kingside here. I don't see another move.
He must, but this is just a pawn down, and the attack is clearer for white than for black.
And he's got no time, which is rare. Fedoseev is one of the faster players on tour. So all arrows are pointing in Benjamin's favor.
Yeah, it looks brutal. I'm not into it.
Bishop e4, maybe take the bishops out of the picture. Still, I mean, Fedoseev is incredibly slippery.
Right.
But a great start from Benjamin, who is just so solid in Fischer Random. Now, the Sevian game continues to get crazier and crazier. We have to go there.
Yeah, I was just looking at that game as well. There's a bishop on d7 and a bishop on d8. Is there... So it's black's move. I'm already looking at sacrifices. What's the material count? Even somehow?
It is. Is it even? I'm still counting the pawns. It's 7 pawns to 7 pawns. It is even.
What a strange looking position. Wait, and black can still castle, I believe. And white can also still castle.
Oh yeah, because you don't need the e8 square to castle. That's hilarious. But who does castling benefit?
That question I don't have an answer to just yet.
Okay, so what is white's threat? Like, what is white's... I think a good way to look at these types of positions is to ask yourself, like, what is the actual threat? What is white's next move?
Knight.
It's hard to say. Knight f5.
G to f5, but then there's like knight f takes g2, and this hurts my head.
Oh my god. Yeah, and then hand me an Advil.
Something.
Now, bishop b5 is not a threat because of queen c8. Although there's bishop a6 there.
Wow, that's actually...
How do you find a move here? Like knight d3, maybe?
Can you keep drawing the arrows in different colors? Because that was actually very helpful. That's what I feel like Fischer Random requires.
Right.
just to understand what's happening is like your color coordinate.
Yeah, colors help tremendously to sort out the threats. So I can draw knight takes e4 in a different color.
Thank you for this.
The pawn does not take the knight. Oh, now I accidentally deleted the first arrows. This is Sisyphean.
Well, Sisyphus and Hercules both couldn't do the job that you're doing. So
that's right.
Good on you. And
okay, knight d3 played, actually.
Is there a threat? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Oh, the d7 bishop's hanging now.
Yeah, so there's a minor threat.
Yes. And can I just move the bishop back?
To h3, for example.
And then I think black finally castles.
Yeah, let's say black castles. I mean, of course, I don't think anybody's wasting the time to pick up this h5 pawn.
No, e5 is also hanging in some of these positions.
It's +2, but I mean, such a position is... I mean, that's not what the players are thinking. They're not sitting here saying, "Oh yeah, this is about +2."
Well, look at Sevian. If anything, it looks like he's the one facing the disadvantage, right? But like he's looking at this position like, what is happening?
Yeah, nobody likes these types of chaotic positions. The higher rated player definitely doesn't. And Jose just kind of chilling there, kind of enjoying the moment. Bishop d7, f5. So he didn't go to h3. He goes to f5. He allows black to take. But I think that this is even more unpleasant than, knight f5, knight f5.
Oh gosh, the g7 pawn's gonna.
Yeah, but rook e6, where exactly is the danger?
Apparently somewhere.
I am the danger. Rook takes d3 doesn't seem to be all that crazy. Maybe a move like f3 to undermine the knight.
I like it. Calm, cool, and collected. And we shouldn't forget that both sides can still castle.
Yeah, black actually needs to castle here to defend the bishop.
And
something like f takes d4.
Yeah, white can do the same at any moment. But as you're pointing out, the knight on d3 loses its stronghold of the position. And oh gosh, knights on d5 and f5. That's donezo.
Yeah, this is the kind of position that black must avoid at all costs. Okay, let's refresh and see what Jose ended up doing. He took on f5. Ooh, and Sevian took with the e knight. What?
He wants to attack the e4 pawn. Would be my best.
It's got to be wrong though.
It is wrong according to the eval bar.
Because the pawn on e4 is defended, and I feel like this is an inefficient use of his resources to leave this knight on g3 for the sole purpose of attacking e4 rather than using that knight to go to f5 and using the other knight to jump into the center.
Yeah, the knight going to d5 and the line you showed before looked very promising.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Sevian has a great camera considering he's just like right up in there. And
right.
Great quality. And then Jose is like sitting in the darkness and he's waiting for the moment to strike.
Right. And to lift his head up. He's just sort of laying dormant, deciding where to put his rook right now. Rook d7, rook e6.
Oh my goodness. Sorry to.
Something happening in the Vidit game?
Yes, but I don't think it's good news for Vidit. The last few moves, he's been going for the attack, but in the last,
gosh,
look what's happened here.
Wait a second. So he did end up playing queen h6, and after knight f6, he went f4, which looks good. But after ef4, he made this move knight h5, and apparently this was a serious mistake.
Oh, you know what it is? He had go back before knight h5. He had rook takes f4 because you can't take with the queen. Because the knight h6 mate.
Oh, I thought this was a bishop on b8. Oh my god. Queen f4, this is beautiful. Queen takes f4 and knight h6 is mate, is what you're saying?
Right. Because the bishop on a1 covers g7 and h8. What a great piece in the corner there.
Rook takes f4, and this looked pretty much devastating. Instead, he goes knight h5, allowing Eric to put a knight on d4 and block out the bishop on a1. Vidit ends up trading, and he plays the move e5.
It still looks good for white.
It really does. And knight f6 check is coming, no?
So you might have to take the knight, I say, with absolutely no confidence in my voice.
Which one?
The h5 knight. Because if you take the f5 knight, you get mated immediately.
And Eric just did. So what is Vidit's follow-up here going to be? Rook f3. There's the... Uh-oh. Wait, what? Bishop g5? Oh, he can take on h5.
Ah, okay. The queen survives. Okay, for a minus, what does that say? -5 position. This is like the least clear game ever.
Oh, totally. It looks like white has a huge attack here.
Wait, does Vidit have 34 seconds remaining?
Oh my god, he does. I just noticed that for the first time too.
Oh, and 2-second increment might not be enough.
No, he's not going to make this. No, there's no way he makes it.
Although I feel like just to put the move on the board, I'm sure the evaluation will go up with a move like bishop g5.
Yeah.
Because queen h5 or like rook h3. That's how difficult this position is.
It goes up all the way to zeros. It's all tempi for tempi. Like you make one little misstep and the attack becomes decisive. Actually, white is already winning here.
Yeah, Eric must be super nervous at this moment. And he goes king h8 and brings his rook over.
Good stuff by Eric. Rook takes h5. I think he wants knight e6 to f8. And it's over.
Gosh. He also has knight g5. Oh, and then he's going to trap the queen with rook g6 or rook e6 next.
Oh. And both moves are threatened, actually, yeah. So what if I try like knight d6 here? It doesn't help, does it?
I don't know. It looks scary.
Don't go rook e6 because you get mated.
And don't go rook e7 because I was queen f6 check, so that would be bad.
I think rook g6 is winning. Knight takes f7 check and king g8. And the queen is trapped. Eric will calculate this. And Vidit has 13 seconds.
Yeah, no. This is looking rough for Vidit. He's got no time, and you can see him sinking on screen here. Whereas Eric, he's calm. Got his jaw placed in his hand, and he's just up a piece and winning.
Eric has just defended like a champ here. It's over. You can see the concerned look in Vidit's eyes. Knight d6 on the board, and if Eric finds rook g6, it's all over. Now, Vidit is, hoping for rook e6, but that's not going to happen. Eric doesn't do that.
Oh, you know what's fascinating is rook e f8 looks like well, what could possibly be wrong with that? But you no longer have rook g6, so white plays h4 because rook g6 blunders the rook on f8.
Oh, that's a nasty detail. Yeah, you don't have this move because the queen is making contact with the other rook. So Eric actually has to find essentially an only winning move.
And he does. He just played it. Rook
and
G6.
He didn't even take that long.
Knight f7. He just goes king to g8. And
it's all over.
You can see Vidit shaking his head. He knows that this is just a pipe dream and the game is over.
Bishop takes g5. He found a way to extricate his queen, but at the cost of a bunch of his other pieces. He's down a full rook. You know what I would consider here is a move like b6 to open up the bishop, but I don't know what the most accurate thing to do is. Maybe f3 now.
I think I would start with maybe rook e7 just to kick that knight there. Don't take the knight on f7.
No.
That would be, you already have two. You like to mention this, I know, in your educational series, like when you already have so much extra material, don't keep grabbing for the sake of being up even more, because this gives white a huge attack.
I'm trying to figure out what exactly is
just bishop h5.
Bishop h5, king f8, queen f5 or something like that.
Yeah, just unnecessary,
And Eric, I mean, look at how precisely he's played. He played rook e7. He found a way to trade all the pieces, and now it's over.
Right. And e6 didn't even threaten much of anything.
And just take e6. Or take g2.
Taking g2 looks clinical, and this is going to be a winning game one for Eric Hansen, the chess bra. He gets it done with the black pieces. And the good thing about Fischer Random, Danya, compared to standard chess, is that when you have the black pieces, it's not like you think, oh, I'm just going to have to fight for a draw, because the positions don't have the normal theory to work with.
No, and I could hear you hesitating there because I pulled up this other game to distract you.
Yeah, no, but what a game it is.
Crazy time scramble in Sevi and Jospin, and the wheels have come off completely for Jose. Just completely 98, I think, here is destruction.
Okay, he goes
devastation.
D3. What does he want here? Well, black doesn't have a threat, does he?
No, and white just has like two pieces for a rook, and black's king is wide open. So I think simply knight takes e6 ends the game.
Good find.
Okay. Taking queen g6.
Queen d8. Queen g6 is just
mate.
One.
Literally mate. Sevian. Oh, what a beast. And he gets the upper hand there.
And Bortnik, by the way, he wins his game as well. So games are finishing all at once.
And that leaves us with only one game. It's Bach against Fedoseev. And Vladimir has come back from a very, very bad position. He's complicated the position, and I think now he's made a draw.
It looks like black should be getting checkmate here.
Queen e6, king h8, though. Wait, how does Benjamin save the game?
I have no idea, because queen c1 takes f4 is a huge threat.
Oh, my lands. And there are no checks.
Benjamin did this to himself. He was at 2 knights for a rook. He gave away a knight on c3.
He's losing.
And now he's losing.
Queen g7.
Well,
and some work is still required. That knight is a monster.
Yeah.
I think you were about to say that.
Exactly. And I'm looking at the clock situation. Probably easier to have the white pieces in positions like this. But if you don't prove the attack, then yeah, of course that Fedoseev has the upper hand.
Another great move by Fedoseev. Queen c7, queen g7. He saves the d5 pawn. And with 6 seconds, I don't see Benjamin pulling this up. We'll have to pull up the earlier part of the game so I can acquaint myself with
rook takes f4,
how this happened.
This gets easy now. With the f4 pawn missing, it's white's king that's in grave danger. So rook f4, there's no knight e6 forks, nothing like that. You can always give checks and then save your material.
Absolutely. Rook takes f4, 0-1. So you're saying Bach had a great position and then orchestrated this himself?
Yes, he did this to himself. Not to put blame on the guy, but it kind of is his fault.
It's over.
There's just nothing here. No attack.
Queen A8, queen takes A7 maybe, but at that point, white's going to get checkmated. King comes to H6.
And there's queen E5 check in addition to queen takes knight on E6. So
exactly.
This is game. Queen E5 is mate.
Checkmate.
Queen E2.
Queen E2.
Yeah, if you just go back to, I don't even know, move 32-ish, like a little before that. Like there are 2 knights for a rook.
Yeah, this is fine for white. Oh, and he decided to sacrifice one of them.
Yeah, he just gave his knight away on C3.
Oh, you played queen E2 there.
Yeah, he's the one who went for the attack.
Yeah,
that was pan out.
But even before then, I think he made some mistakes because his position was absolutely dominant. Fedoseev ends up winning the game with black. He is in a great spot. But like you said, you're guaranteed winning chances with either color.
Right. It's just, you don't even know what to do from move 1. We have like a Sicilian.
Knight F3.
But there's a bishop on A1. You can't go knight F3.
But you can go knight E3. Okay, B3 is still a move in the regular Sicilian.
Interestingly, there were 2 wins with black and 2 wins with white in that first round, right? Fedoseev wins with black.
Right.
Hansen wins with black, and then Sevian and Bortnik won with the white pieces.
And we see how uncompromising Fischer Random tends to be. Just fewer draws, period.
Right.
And Benjamin, okay, so Fedoseev going early D4. I think he's trying to put up a Morozzi bind type central wall with the move C4. And clamp down on the D5 square.
Yeah, it does look like that. It's just funny to hear Morozzi bind in Fischer.
Right, in a Fischer Random, yeah, exactly. No, but I think that's what he's trying to do. He has to move his bishop back. You definitely don't want to give away your bishop.
No. That dark square bishop is the pride and joy of the position.
Yeah, it's worth white's weight in gold. And then I think C4 is coming next.
Actually, I think black needs to be careful here because the knight hopping over to F5 is going to be even more powerful. And this is already starting to look, to my eyes, sketchy for black.
I was about to propose knight B8 to F4 because I thought that was a bishop. But yes, I agree with you completely.
That would be a great move.
No, bishop F4 would be like exactly what the doctor ordered here. So maybe he'll go bishop C7, but that's slow.
It's very slow.
Like you said, the knight already reaches the promised land either on F5 or even on H5. Ugh. I think Bach is upset after the previous game.
For sure. So how do you actually defend against those bishop C7? The knight E6 does defend the pawn on G7, so it's not like knight F5 comes with some crushing threat. So you do have bishop F4 as a response.
Bishop G4. Paving, okay, opening up the D1 square for his queen, so taking the sting out of bishop F4. Okay, it makes some sense.
I still like bishop F4, though.
Queen D1?
Yeah, and then I can play knight C6 or something.
Knight C6, yeah. Get your knight out.
Maybe you should just start with knight C6. There's no reason to throw in bishop F4 just yet. Your bishop might belong in E5, trading off dark square bishops.
Yeah, if black can achieve that, then white's attack loses a lot of its appeal if you can get the dark squared bishops off the board.
For sure. Yeah, this doesn't look so bad for Bach. And maybe Fedoseev, he's going to need to sit in for a think at some point because he only needs to draw the game. That's the good news. But there's no clarity whatsoever to the position.
Agreed. No, it's very amorphous, and that's exactly what you needed for Benjamin. But an interesting opening here. I think all things considered, a pretty successful outcome of the first few moves for Fedoseev. He's got a position he likes.
Right. We have all 4 boards on screen here.
Nice.
Showing you all the action at once. It's pretty cool to see the differences in the opening decisions.
Yeah, my eyes are caught by the game in the top right, Bortnik Shimanov. White's got central control, but no pieces developed.
All right, so you want to head on over there?
Let's head on over there. And knight c6, by the way, was played in the Fedoseev game, so you called it. This is what we have in Bortnik Shimanov, or Shimanov Bortnik, rather, with Alexander having a must win in game 1.
Yeah, no, this is when you need to win a game, you just want positions just like this, right? Look at white extending those pawns, B4 and D4, challenging Black's center. And is it only move 5? That's the craziest thing about Fischer Random, right? If I said to you, Daniel, what move do you think this is? What would you have said?
Probably like is 10 or so, 10 or 12.
Yeah, it's just
definitely not move 5. It's Black's move 5. So White has just only made the 5th move.
It's impossible to figure these things out. But looking at the position, the reason why I like White's setup is because of the control of squares. You have 3. You highlighted it before.
Right, we're reading each other's
You have 3 separate pawns in the 4th rank. Black is playing with pieces. White is playing with pawns. And if you allow that, oh my gosh, you really are just
allow the pawn to be pushed to d5.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge issue, and you don't want to take on d4 because when you swap on d4, the queen on c1 is much happier than the queen on c8 with a long open line in front of it versus a queen on c8 staring right into its own pawn.
That's a great explanation, and that basically means Black has to make a series of committal decisions in the center. Now, my instinct in such positions to play d6, but I agree. I think allowing d5 is A, very committal, and B, probably just bad for Black. Right. Maybe knight f4, but you can't really hang your hat on this quote-unquote attack. It's not even really an attack.
And White can throw h4 in, and knight e3, and all this stuff. It feels like that bishop on a8 is not happy to be there.
Why would you say that? It's a perfectly active, dominant bishop.
Well, not all pieces can be strong in a game.
This has been well done by Shimanov.
It has. And I think that, when I'm looking across the games, everyone who lost game 1 is putting up a fight in a very good manner.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, like we discussed, the beauty of Fischer Random. You get a chance to do that. Which other games catch our eye? Well, we can take a look at the Jose game. I don't think we've looked at it yet.
Sure. Let's go on there. Our number 1 seed, Sam Sevian. He won with White. Now he gets Black. And
was almost that similar to the Bortnik game.
Yeah, it's like plus 1 point something.
Plus 1.7.
The players have no idea that that's the case, obviously.
In fact, if the engine was giving an edge for Black, I would believe it.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, Black has control of the center. D4 is a possibility. Yeah, I could see a case being made for Black being slightly better here.
I think the problem is this queen on a6. You were talking about this in our pre-show, that even when you get your queen out, what's that queen doing on a6? It's not attacking anything. It's actually not helping control some weak squares. So a knight f5 jump here, knight e to f5, let's say, that can go into d6. And you better watch out for knight takes f7 at some point, or the second knight hopping into the game. I can see why White's better now that we've spent a little bit more time on the position.
This is actually a slightly more common pattern, the knights on h5 and f5, than it is in classical chess. And that can be a very dangerous combination.
For sure can. It's like all these sacrifices that are happening on g7. This is bishop on a1 just lurking in the corner. This is worrisome stuff.
And if Black plays d4, then yes, he temporarily shuts down the bishop, but he doesn't address the underlying issues. And it also takes the pressure off of the center, which unties White's hands for kingside action. So could not ask for a better start for Jose.
No, actually, d4, there might be bishop e2 immediately.
Oh, and bishops. Oh, the queen has nowhere to go. Oh, my God.
You have to go up to a5, but that's already an awkward square because if you go back, knight d6 is a fork.
Knight d6. Knight d6 is indeed a fork. So queen a5 or maybe b5. Ugh. But b5, there's knight d6 anyway. Ooh.
Oh, that does not look like a good position for Sevian, and he's trying his best to figure out where to go. But knight e to f5, and look at Jocelyn's leaving the clock. I think he's playing this second game perfectly, and every move has been logical.
Yeah, when you have a 4 or 5 minute lead, like you have the luxury of being able to take like 2 or 3 minutes whenever you want, which is absolutely huge because your opponent doesn't have that same luxury in critical moments. I mean, 8 minutes is nothing in a position like this.
Right. And yeah, it's a lot to figure out. By the way, the game in the bottom right-hand side is the game between Bortnik and Shimanov. That position also looking spicy with all this tension in the center. So you're bringing up multiple games on screen there for you. So just so you can keep an eye on more than one, 4 matches all at once.
Yeah, we've got so much to look at. So many interesting games. Everybody in a must-win situation. It is win or go home. We remind you that it is single elimination. And these players, they're back against the wall. They produce some very, very inspired games.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't looked yet at... Yes?
The Vidit in game with black. I mean, I just saw a rook sitting on
rook
h6.
On h6, just casually.
I'm already looking at knight g5 and queen h3 and...
Yeah, but Eric's central control and his piece coordination is excellent.
That's true.
So if this does not work out, then white's going to be much better.
Can we just show a quick line? Knight g5.
Queen h3, yeah,
knight g5, f4, and still queen h3.
Exactly what I was going to show.
Oh, you to make the move? Yeah, there you go.
Got it.
There you go. And this has been a common tactical theme, is this checkmate with the bishop in the corner and the knight joining the party.
Yeah, this is honestly beautiful. And you're also attacking h2. So if white does not accept the sacrifice, you storm the barricades with queen takes h2 check, and then you take the knight. And it's total devastation. So what would be the best defensive idea here after knight g5? Is it e4? It's pretty weakening.
Maybe e4.
Maybe f3.
But actually, no, e4 it loses. Knight f3 check.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Look at this. GF, queen h3, and you can't defend against mate. And your king is buried by your rooks.
Right. It's like almost smothered in there. And wait, you see the live position. The
rook h4. Damn, girl.
Okay, so Vidit trying to stop move f4, it would appear.
How often do you see a rook on h4 on move 8?
No, it's Fischer random move. Oh, it also attacks upon on c4.
And Eric, no hesitation. Literally none. You know what I think he wants?
What's that?
I think he wants ef4, knight f5. And then to put the other knight on t5. And Eric basically just says, look at my pieces here. How can I possibly be worse in this position?
The answer is you can't. You're just much, much better because you could take on e3, but then you're bringing more of white's pieces into the action.
Fork
on e7.
Although I see what you're saying. Probably after f takes e3, you don't want to play knight e7.
Right, because the g2 pawn.
But yeah, rook e3. Your point is well taken.
I was just trying to, get you to fall into my one possible pit trap.
This is such a miserable position. And God forbid, g6, knight h6. Yet another one of these mates.
Mm-hmm.
No, but the wheels are coming off here. I don't like rook h4 at all.
Well, I wonder what the better move was, because knight g5, I do think that e4 we figured out was not the correct response, but maybe there was something, although there definitely was something else that allowed white to keep the upper hand. Maybe f3, a very calm move, shutting down the bishop.
Yeah, f3, I thought maybe f5.
No, it's a fighting position.
Right. At least black has some sort of, longer lasting activity, but the eval bar is laughing me out of the park here. Maybe because of f4.
Oh, because you cut the queen off from the diagonal.
Right. So now queen h3 is no longer a problem.
It's very funny in chess when you give a free tempo to somebody and it's actually bad for their position.
Right. They go f5 and then you go f3, f4.
Right. It's like, oh, I wanted your pawn there all along. Tricked you.
Okay, so after f4, Vidit has settled into another think. He's burned through half his clock, and he's got very little to show for it. This is looking mighty good for Eric, who only needs a draw.
It looks amazing.
I don't think he's losing this game. I just don't see it happening.
No, I don't. And allowing f4 is exactly what... Wait a second. You know what, like when you talk about something and sometimes it puts an idea in your mind, can we just go back before rook h4?
Uh-huh.
Could he play bishop f3?
Oh, you wanna Fischer Benko this?
I want to
wait, but if I take and you go knight g5, don't I have bishop f5?
No, I'm playing knight d4 and queen h3.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Well, I was just saying, like, oh, as soon as you allow f4, that's when the problem starts. So why don't I prevent you from playing f4 and then put my bishop on f3?
So white's already losing here because there's literally nothing you can do, and if you take, you get checkmated once again.
So what could you do with your bishop f3?
Well, you could go bishop f5 now.
That's...
But does that really solve the problems? It solves some of them. You're not going to get checkmated here.
Maybe it's G6 or something like that.
Right. And if you take on E6, then the queen takes, and again, the bishop is untouchable.
Oh my goodness. Wouldn't have see, this is when people ask me, oh, like, does commentary help your play? I would say overall, not necessarily, but in moments like this, when you're talking out loud, it helps you come up with strange ideas. And as soon as F4 happened, we could see Eric is just dominating. The bar is sky high.
And look at this position. I mean, this is just atrocious.
He got his pieces active, and his king is no longer being checkmated. So he got everything he could possibly ask for, and Vidit is on his back foot.
Yeah, for Vidit, everything is on his back rank. He's got nothing going on the king side. I would be absolutely shocked if Eric does not, at the very least, hold a draw in this position.
Yeah, it's not looking fun.
Not fun at all. Vidit trying to get his pieces out, but it's too little and too late.
Whoa.
Rook F3, yes.
Whoa. Let's go to the Shimano-Bortnik game.
Okay. Over there we go. Knight F4 takes G2.
Yeah, I just saw that. I hovered over the board, and I saw that the knight on
rook's
G2.
hanging.
The rook is hanging. There's pressure from A8 down to G2. What is going on here?
Oh, my God. Okay, I think I've deconstructed. So basically, there's two options. White can take the rook. White can take the knight. If white takes the knight, okay, queen G4 blunders the queen. So otherwise, that would be nice. I think the idea is rook takes C4 and F5, right?
Right.
Rook takes C4 and F5. And you win the rook back, and you're fine. I guess bishop F3.
Then just take on E4, and you have like queen G4 check and things like that. Yeah, and Bortnik only needs a draw, right? So trading queens and stuff should be good for him.
Right. So something like this was not appealing to Shimanov. Or no, it is appealing to Shimanov. He's going for it.
I guess had no choice. And he's going to have to try to outplay Bortnik in an endgame.
Yeah, that endgame, the only one of White's assets, I think, there is the lead in development and the bishop on A1. So unless Shimanov can somehow exploit that in the next 5 or 6 moves, if he lets Bortnik consolidate, the match is basically over.
And I think that he doesn't really have a choice, because if we go back down that variation you were just putting on the board here, Danya.
Yeah, bishop F3. They are going down it.
Yeah, but there's only one open file. We're going to see exactly this. Queen G4 check, knight G3 chop chop. And once the bishop goes back to E7, the king goes to F7. The only open file is the D file, and white can't make use of it. And black will quickly bring that rook on H8 over to D8.
Great point. And the knight on B8 actually is kind of good because it protects the D7 square. I always say bad bishops defend good pawns. Well, bad knights sometimes defend good squares. And if you defend the infiltration square D7, then white, like you said, has no way to make inroads despite his control of the D file.
Yeah, and Bortnik, he's calculating all this stuff because he doesn't have to play a move like Queen G4 check. He can develop his knight right now and keep the tension between the bishops. So a move like knight D7 or not even knight, knight C6 runs.
I'd say bishop D5.
Yeah, that might just lose him the spot. So yeah, Bortnik, he's trying to figure this out. He only needs a draw, but it can be difficult when you start thinking about a specific result. You can't think about a half point. You just need to play the position and find your optimal moves.
But Bortnik is such a good endgame player. I think he won't be able to resist. And he does not.
He's pre-moving.
Look at how fast he executed that entire operation.
Right. And I think Shimanov has to just ditch the D file, even though rook D1 is very tempting because that allows king F7, rook D8 very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that perhaps white is better suited making moves like the B4 pawn is hanging. So bishop C3 first, and then A4, A5, things like that. I don't think it's much. I don't know how white intends to play for a win from that point, but you probably have to do something like that.
Well, Magnus wouldn't offer a draw here. That's how you can console yourself.
True.
You know what else I like? I like the look of the move B5, which you just played, by the way. And then maybe bishop E5.
I have a question for you. It's very random. Could black have castled instead of king F7? Just asking.
Oh, was it legally possible?
Yeah, what? It probably was.
I think it was. I don't think black moved his king. Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. Yeah, like it's the most random thing ever, that the fact that you can castle here.
I just had to ask, because you forget when someone can castle, and it was legal until that last move.
And that's a problem that occasionally arises in over the board in classical chess, although a lot more rarely because the king position is standardized. But there have been cases. I think Korchnoi, there was a famous story with Korchnoi where he forgot that his king could move. He moved it like 30 moves after he moved it initially. His opponent didn't call him out on it, and then there's a whole fight over it. Because at some point you were wait a second. Did you play the king e8 to d7 back to e8 like on move 10?
Did you just use Korchnoi and fight in the same sentence? That could never be. No way.
Not someone as placid
and
sanguine as Korchnoi.
Yeah, afraid of conflict and confrontation.
By the way, he is going bishop with knight d7. Is such a sleek move.
Yeah, bishop c7 is meant by rook c8, trading off more pawns. So that's a good decision by Borting and a great decision by Shimano to bring his bishop back.
And another great move by Borting. You might say rook c. Well, that looks very passive, right? Why would you tie yourself down to the c7 pawn? But he has a long-sighted view of the position. He knows that eventually he's going to play c7, c6. And once he does that, the rook is going to acquire a lovely level of activity on the C file.
Yeah, he's just gaining space. He's doing renovations. He's like, okay, right now I'm in a little studio here. Don't have much room, but he's going to keep breaking that wall down. And C6 allows him to do that. You see Bortnik. He's like, this is a draw, dude. I'm bored. Let's go to the next round.
I'm bored.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? Oh, he's streaming.
He is streaming.
Is he? Let me check.
Yeah, he is. It says he's streaming on the... When you follow the game on chess.com, it actually tells you if either of the players is streaming.
When did that happen?
While you were...
Oh, it does. Wow.
Hibernating?
You know, I just... I'm watching on the screen over here, and... Okay, cool.
Yeah, Bortnik has been streaming pretty consistently for a couple months now, which is great to see. He is one of the best bullet players on the planet. I do not struggle with anybody like I struggle with Bortnik.
Yeah, because he always gives you like a 10-second lead on the clock, and then in his time trouble, he plays faster than is humanly possible.
Faster than the seven gods. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable how fast he plays. But not just that. After Hikaru, and maybe like Andraken now, he might be the most slippery player I've ever had the chance to interact with.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable what he pulls out.
It's true. He does not lose easy. As you would say, he does not go gently into that good night.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, I think we can trust Bortnik to hold this one. He's also ahead in the clock. So if something interesting happens, we'll come right back here. But I'm looking at the game between Fedoseev and Bach, because Fedoseev, he's up 1-0. He just needs a draw here. This position looks anything but drawish.
Yeah, this is exactly what you do not want to have in a must-run scenario, unless he can consolidate here. So he's up a piece, Benjamin. How did he sacrifice that piece?
He just did 2 moves ago.
Boom, 94 in this position. Wait. Not sure that was necessary.
Yeah, I'm looking at the position. I'm like, isn't he just better?
Right, without the sacrifice. Wait, didn't he do that in the last game too? Like he sacked a knight there at the end of the game?
On C3.
Why Benjamin is trying to, force things as much as he is. C3 is a cool move by Fedoseev, because what it does is it chases the bishop away. And if you go bishop C5, I think white wants B4.
And so that probably means the black bishop has to take on F2 at some point. So this is a big question. It's a subtlety. But do you want the pawn on B3 or on B4 when you take on F2?
This is where, in a classical game, you pretend to think, but in reality, you're going eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Like, I'm going to go bishop C5 because I'm inducing a weakness.
Right, to say that you induce something or you provoked something.
But what is the follow-up once black takes on F2? So bishop F2, king F2, are you just going to play F5, F4, and throw your pawns forward?
That's the million-dollar question. I think you are. I don't see really an alternative, because I was testing the move E3. It clearly doesn't work. White just takes on E3. So after F5...
You can't move your rook from H1. You drop the H2 pawn.
It's certainly dicey for white. I mean, the pawn is coming to F4 inevitably.
This looks very troubling.
And Fedoseev, well, he's got time on his clock, but you could easily burn through 4 minutes in a position like this.
And it's just not the type of position you want when you just need a draw. You're like, let's get a calm position, maybe an exchange Slav, and you remember you're not playing standard chess.
Right.
And then let's get this chaotic position where black has sacrificed a piece for just 1 pawn, but that white king is really unsafe.
But Benjamin needs to make a decision. He's down to 2.5 minutes. I get that he's trying to figure out whether to induce before, that might not even be what he's thinking about. He might be at a loss after bishop takes f2, king takes f2, because you get emotionally attached to your pieces. It's not easy to give that bishop away.
Yes, but perfect is the enemy of the good, especially when you're down 2 minutes on the clock and 1 point on the scoreboard. So you got to go, Benjamin. You got to take that knight, either first bishop c5 or capture right away, and then play f5 and throw your pieces forward. Just be confident, right? If you move quickly, your opponent might also believe you.
He's not moving, though. Maybe there's a third move that maybe there's e3 or something that is catching his eye, but he's down below 2 minutes. Even if he finds bishop takes f2 and f5 at this point, I don't see him pulling this game out.
Yeah, with this kind of clock usage, no, it's very unlikely for him to make it. And it's going to be disappointing for Benjamin because he was outplaying Fedoseev in game 1. That was the game where he won that pawn at f5, right?
He was flat out outplaying him, yeah.
And then he somehow lost that game. And now in game 2, he also had a better position. He's going for broke.
Yeah, something, I mean, maybe getting nervous, maybe trying too hard to force things. He finally takes on f2 with a minute 30 on the clock, and he plays f5. So to Benjamin's credit, he finds the best move, the only way to stay in the game. By the way, I want to flip back to the Eric Hansen game for a second because I think Vidit is about to resign, and I wanted to catch that moment, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So Eric is up in exchange. He's about to win a second piece.
So he's going to be up a full rook is what you're saying.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. And look at that knight on e3, heroically defending g2.
F takes e6, queen h4. Yes, I'm going to checkmate you.
One move-itis.
And then someone just avoids it. It's very easy to.
Yeah, Eric just doing the final checks. You could even play f6 if you wanted to be cruel.
Oh, my goodness. And knight f5 to follow?
Yeah.
f6 is beautiful.
Oh, and look at this line. f6, queen d7, f7, king f8, and bang!
That's nice.
And bang!
You're just a bully.
Queen a2 is not the move I wanted to make.
I think you wanted to take on g7.
Yep. I don't know how you thought of that. And this is mate. Okay, but Eric made a different move altogether.
Okay, but that's a great move.
He played knight e3 to g4.
Protecting the
goodbye.
Pawn, threatening the rook on h6 with check, opening the rook to the knight on e6. That's done.
Yeah, you can't give Eric these kinds of positions. He's not going to let you off the hook when he's totally winning like this. And for Vidit, talk about disappointing. He will lose 2-0 to Eric. I was expecting good things from Vidit today, but just not his day.
His time management was poor because in game 1, he did play queen h6, and then he just got a bit shaky in the tactical moments. So credit to Eric for putting up stubborn resistance. He moves on to the next round here at this qualifier. But yeah, Vidit, he's going to be disappointed for sure.
He most certainly is. Okay, we can trust Eric to finish that game off. We can go back to the Fedoseev game, which is continuing to heat up. Or we could look at the end game from Shumana Bortnik. Jaspem against Konovets is also in an end game, by the way.
I'm not really worried about Bortnik. He's up on time and he's
dealing
with as well. So let's go to the other one.
Let's go to the Jaspem game. Jaspem.
Wait, White needs to win, right?
Jose needs to win, yes. I don't think that's happening.
No, I think if anyone's going to win this game, it's Sevian.
Yeah, I mean, he can just... So material is equal. Ooh. Bishop d5 disliked by the eval bar.
But liked enough.
Yeah, this is... Maybe takes in rookie...
It is so difficult to take that rook on a4. Because then you hand your opponent this sprinting pass pawn.
Right, no, that's like stabbing yourself. It's like, it's incredibly hard.
So he goes rook e1 back, and I'm guessing that Sevian, well, he probably could take on b4. Although that might allow rook a7 check. That's how you lose this game, Danya, is by taking this pawn on b4 and allowing the rook to infiltrate.
Yeah, because white suddenly gets mating threats. Rook a7, and Sevian is so careful. Rook d to a6, very circumspect. And he can go back to the bishop a2 maneuver if he wants.
But then the rook will go to d1, I guess?
Back to d5?
Or rook d... I'm not getting anything.
Are you going to go knight e5, knight d3?
No, it was pretty rook on a2. It's kind of...
But okay, rook d4.
Wait, but I want to go
He's
knight
making
e3
some
now.
progress.
Yeah, knight e3.
But okay, knight c3 and
White's better.
yeah, all of a sudden, ooh, he went rook e2. That's inferior for sure.
Yeah.
Why didn't he go knight e3?
But he can still go knight e3.
But then the other rook might stream into a2.
And then is there? I want to go rook d3 and pick up the c3 pawn, but you get b4.
But
Doesn't feel like enough material. Sorry, what were you saying?
in that position, after knight e3, rook a2, there's a threat of bishop b3, which is actually very, very hard to stop.
You would. But no, knight e3, that's why I'm playing rook d3, because I'm attacking your pawn.
Right, you have to. And then we trade b4 to c3, and okay, maybe some minuscule chances for white.
Looks very level.
Sevian's got the clutch factor. He just doesn't lose endgames like this often.
You better not be jinxing him, because then this will be clipped and shipped, sent to him, but not as a present.
And it'll be on live stream fails, and I will face the downfall of my career.
Oh boy. So what does
he do?
Because rook b4, rook takes c3 is actually unpleasant for black.
What if he goes rook a2 to a3?
Just
no, knight takes d5. That's terrible.
Well, this is all. I think bishop c4. Take it. I thought you could take it there because your king sprints to d4. For
yeah, he definitely could. I think neither side is really considering the question of who benefits in the event of a trade. They're just kind of assuming that, that they're going to leave the knight and the bishop on the board.
The knight also is the better piece because the knight's about to hop to the dark squares and the bishop can't really attack anything.
Yes, and in black's time pressure,
rook c7.
Having a knight is a great asset. He bought a rook c7. Oh my God, Sam is losing control of this position.
Take h7. And you always have knight e3 return.
Exactly, to defend the c2 pawn. Black has been totally unsuccessful in generating queenside counterplay.
Wow.
h4. Ooh.
So what's the b3 is a threat now.
And a very dangerous one at that.
Although there is knight c4 check as a response to b3 because you protect your rook.
CB.
Right.
But he goes king e2. Yeah, so the same thing applies. b3 knight c4 check.
Or you can take right away, I guess.
I think Sam is going to move his king for that reason. King c6 maybe. Goes king e5.
I actually like that move. Seems hard to punish.
And Jospin is
19
seconds.
Knight g4. Wait, there's a mating net, right?
Knight g4 is mate. King f4 though.
King f h4.
No, king g3.
Oh, king f4 you're going?
Yeah.
Then G3
7 seconds for
Knight
Jospin.
g4. It's mate. It's
mate.
Yeah,
G3 is mate. Okay, I see. And rook takes c6. Yep. Make
move,
a move.
Move.
1 second.
He's got king f5.
King f5 only move.
Oh, he missed h4, but maybe he still has it.
Oh, king f2. He's walking up to g3 and he's going to go h4 and it's going to be mate.
Oh, it brings his king in, and that checkmate is unstoppable.
Not yet.
Gonna
now it is. Oh,
f4. It's mate. Rook h7.
It's mate. Beautiful. Jose. My lands, girl.
And now Fedor saves the last game. He is up 2 pieces at the moment. So unfortunately for Bach, it's looking like his
bishop c4.
His journey here in the Fischer Random Qualifier is coming to an end.
Yeah, and remember, Fedoseev only has to draw this game, so I think he's going to manage.
Yeah, something tells me that he's not going to lose.
Bishop takes e3, queen b2, king takes. Okay, queen d2. Yeah, Fedoseev has sufficient material here for a draw.
Certainly does.
a4. Okay, Benjamin.
It's like throwing your last punches, your dying breaths, or just like this insult that nobody can actually hear. It's like,
right, exactly. I know what you're saying. I know what you're referencing. Queen takes g7.
Oh, that would be just too cruel.
He'll see it too.
Rook c8, bishop d4 mate.
Beautiful. And Benjamin is going to allow it. And Vladimir Fedoseev 2-0 against Benjamin Bach. And impressive.
We have Fedoseev like off screen here, and he just barely reacted. Like sometimes
he's like another day in the office.
Yeah, sometimes people fist pump like Wesley So typically does. Fedoseev just like, all right, cool, drink some water and then moves on. But we do have an Armageddon. So we have one match tied 1-1. And that means that these players will have to play one single game to determine who moves on to the semifinals here of this qualifier.
Not to be confused with a Legageddon.
You didn't have to. You did not have to, Daniel.
No, but I did.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, honestly. But it's a bidding Armageddon. So we are going to learn what the players' bids are. And just like in the Rapid Chess Championship, the side that bids the lower time will get that amount and the black pieces.
Yeah, and Armageddon and Fischer Random is super interesting. Now, you don't really get much drawing potential anyway. So my inclination would be to seek the black pieces, if possible, in the Armageddon. But I'm very interested to see what they end up bidding.
Well, what would you bid with the base time being 15 minutes? How low would you go?
I would go as low probably as 10 minutes. Definitely not less than 10. I mean, already 5-minute advantage is a lot. And there's no increment. And that's huge, especially in Fischer Random, because you cannot play faster than a certain pace.
Gosh, I don't know. I'm always uncertain. I feel like I want to say I would go as low as like 9 minutes, but then I would just get flagged, right? It's just like 9 minutes to 15 allows your opponent to kind of be deliberate, to take their time. And if Fischer Random, when you don't understand the starting position, it's all up in the air. But we are going to take a very short break. When we return, it's Sevian, it's Martinez, it is Armageddon. You'll not want to miss this here live from the World Fischer Random Chess Championship Qualifier number 1. And we return here at the World Fischer Random Chess Championship, qualifier number 1. Grandmaster Robert Hess alongside me, my good friend, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Danya, 3 players have made their way through the semis. We have one Armageddon matchup between Sam Sevian and Jose Martinez. Right before break, I asked you how much time you would bid, and the players, they bid 13 minutes and 20 seconds to 13 minutes. So that means that a very large amount of base time for the player who's getting the black pieces, and that is Jose Martinez.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of time here. This is going to be very generous Armageddon. And the players not wanting to drop too low, which is kind of interesting to me. They're confident that they can win with the white pieces. And we will see if the bid is justified. But the game is underway. Sam Sevian with the full 15 minutes, and he quickly plays the move 1d4.
And this is the same position, right, as we've been seeing throughout the previous 2 games. So that means maybe Sam had a little bit of time to think about what his plan would be, and he's going for an early b3.
Slav. Black plays d4, d5, and c6.
Exactly. Well, just like in a Chebanenko. No.
This reminds me, speaking of Chebanenko, bishop a5.
Hitting that rook on e1 directly?
I don't like it. Bishop c3. Look at that other bishop, Robert.
Wait, what bishop?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what bishop is right? There's 3 pawns on the same diagonal as the bishop.
No, that's a terrible piece. I mean, it does look like a Slav, but in the Slav, you want your bishop on f5 or on g4 for black.
In fact, if you reposition black's bishop, I would be more than happy to play black here. But after bishop c3, if white can eliminate the good bishop, okay, plays knight bd2, which is okay, also good, but okay.
So what's happening? Knight d7? Yeah, I feel like white just has more space.
Okay, I thought queen a3 was interesting, but okay.
He just wants a3, b4, take over the space.
Right, b3, b4, and then maybe e4, but I wouldn't necessarily rush that move. Whoa. He takes and probably wants e5, which is actually a typical idea in the Slav.
I'm a little concerned about it here, though. Oh, love that response. Because now you're not getting e5. At least not very
classic.
Easily. Just classic Sevian.
You might still be getting e5. You actually can still play e5 here.
But I don't like e5. Because if you're e5, what if I just take?
I don't like you, so...
Well, that hurts.
Take
everything. Take everything.
Okay. 20 minutes later. And then
that was for like knight g3, and your bishop on 8 is such a bad piece that I think I can just play this position and almost like it's a normal game of chess. Bishop's coming to b3 for white.
No, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. And then the pawns are going to steamroll you in the center.
Yeah, this is miserable.
Yeah, point taken. So he doesn't go... But he goes for a very ugly approach. He goes b6. I get it, though. He wants to play c5. But
it's just like many different positions where you see, stemming from the Queen's Gambit declined, where black has to play c5. Otherwise, they're much worse. That's exactly what's happening right now.
Right.
Can white just play h4, h5 like we've seen in 6 different games already? Oh, bishop takes g3.
We see this idea in every game. e4. Occupying the center. Also looks amazing for white. Jospin playing e6. I mean, black is a pretty solid setup. It's not going to be easy to crack.
No, and if you play h4, bishop takes g3, it just looks worrisome, but maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe you allow that. Oh, because the d6 square would be white's.
You're right. Ooh. White could potentially go e5, although I wouldn't totally be sold on that move.
By the way, just in case anyone was interested, the players did not get to analyze this position. They were with the Fair Play team and the Chess.com staff the entire time during the break, sharing their screen. So they were not allowed to analyze and look into the position, because that would, impact a lot in terms of who wants white, who wants black. So Sevian just playing a great game here without preparing it.
Right. And there's knight g3 to h5. And he just feels confident that the approach that he chose is accurate. Ooh.
Is d5
d5. We've seen like this exact set of ideas so many times already today. Okay, so how does this work? D5, I'll play CD
So I take on G7,
with the bishop.
I guess.
I play D6, C4.
Because knight f6 check is too soon. So queen h6.
Queen H6. But okay, now I play maybe a 5.
Bishop takes f8 and queen g7.
Oh, you're threatening mate from two different... I apologize. You're threatening mate from two different sources. Both minor pieces are aiming at G7.
You know what's funny, Danya? This was a Danya effect because I was questioning myself like the whole way through. I'm like, there's no way Danya is missing this. So
Missing
I have to,
one, right?
I have to come up with something different. It's just...
No, that makes it because you're also threatening like bishop f6 here.
Right.
No, this is horrible for black.
This looks really tragic.
What would Daniel do?
I think Daniel would play d5.
Yeah, probably would. And maybe black should go e5 in response.
Oh, gosh. Then do I have d6 there? And
okay, but don't you bite off more than you can chew? D6, bishop b8?
You don't know how much I can chew.
That's true. 93 out of 5. Yeah, stop putting words in my mouth, literally.
Yeah, you're putting words and food in my mouth at the same time. What's wrong with you?
Oh, 93 is totally crushing. Look at this.
It's brutal.
Knight f5. And once g7 falls, once this falls, I mean, white's pieces descend on black's like zombies on dead meat.
This looks terrible.
As you like to say.
By the way, black has more time. So that's the good news for Jose. He only needs a draw and he has more time. And he castled?
Why did he castle? D5 was just like slam dunk.
Maybe he doesn't see a plan for black, so he's okay just kind of sitting on the position.
If you have to play B6, C6, E6, and F6, that does not bode all that well for the health of your position.
I'm with you. You have no activity. You don't have a single piece past your own third rank. And look at white. 3 different pawns and a knight on the 4th rank, and then a knight on the 5th rank.
But it is surprisingly solid for black. And I've seen many such positions botched when, you get into the situation where you made all the improving moves, and now it's time to find a plan. But every plan that you choose has certain drawbacks. So, for example, for me, one of the things that occurs to me is to play f4.
Right.
But that's also a little bit weakening. I mean, you weaken your king, and there you actually might bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
At least more than I can chew.
Well, c5 becomes much more appealing because you're breaking open the diagonals in the dark squares.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like to move bishop g4. Just develop that piece. Put pressure on e6, just in the diagonal where the queen is as well. Bishop b3 comes to mind, in addition to bishop g4. What else? I don't know what else.
Yeah, I thought bishop b3. That was my first instinct. After f4.
I hate these positions because I know white is better, but I don't know how to maximize.
Maybe rook e3, rook h3, but then black will put a rook on f7 and ask you what you're doing on h3. He goes knight e3.
Stopping c5.
And potentially paving the way for bishop b3.
Right, so king goes to h8. And bishop a4 might also be a nuisance.
Bishop a4 attacking c6, trying to induce even more weaknesses.
I guess it's not really threatening c6 because bishop takes h2 check tactics are always in the air. The pawn is defended through the bishop on c7.
It's a pre-threat.
Yeah, I'm setting up a threat.
By the way, I was corrected in the chat. Zombies only eat fresh meat. And I said, like zombies on dead meat. No, that's definitely not true. I'm, as a horror movie fanatic, that is a false statement. Zombies definitely...
Maybe the horror movies are incorrect. Horror movies, they're known for sticking to reality, obviously.
Right.
Okay, so bishop a4 was, in fact, the choice of Sevian here.
You called it. Creating tension on the c6 pawn. And is it time for black to, try to break free with a move like e5? No, it's terrible. Anytime he plays e5, the other knight swoops into f5.
So, since you want to break free and gain space, maybe knight f4 is the way to do so?
Knight f4, getting rid of this pesky knight on h5.
Yeah, it's bothering me, and you have to because knight d3 is a threat as well as the knight tension.
Okay, I'll take it.
Bishop takes.
All right. And I'll maybe start harassing the c-pawn. Maybe I'll go queen c2. Something like this, and then maybe rook c1.
It's a frustrating. I hate having these positions from the black side.
Yeah, because you don't know, like, it's even harder to play than with white, and it's not easy to play with white.
Yeah, but from white, you're like, oh, how do I make sure that my advantage doesn't go away? For black, you're like, how do I make sure I don't lose in like 4 moves?
Right, exactly. No, Jose is taking a hefty amount of time here. And Sevian still with 8:29 on his clock. Plenty of time. And I have to say, this almost resembles a normal chess position at this point.
Yeah, no, it does. And rook d8. Okay, well, now it's time for f4. Wow, see, I feel like Sevian, he's making moves that are sensible, but they're just slow. Why didn't he play f4? He doesn't need the pawn on g3 to make that move.
They're slow and they're a little bit aimless. He played bishop a4 on one side of the board, then he plays g3 on the other, and the Eval bar hated that move. Let us figure out why.
Well,
did he allow c5?
He did, and the e4 pawn is loose.
So exactly the one thing that he was trying to prevent, he has just not only allowed, but made a lot better because he's weakened his own kingside. Yeah. Wow, and Jospin saw that immediately. And that's like one of the redeeming things about defending these types of positions. Like, you are always testing the one, or you're usually going to have 1 or 2 breakthroughs that your opponent is trying to prevent, and you're testing them on every move. And when it actually works out, the tables often turn so quickly.
I can't believe it moved g3.
I know that was a terrible move. You didn't need to prepare f4.
He's shown too much restraint. He's playing this like a positional game that it would make sense if his opponent couldn't make progress. But as we've seen here, c5, and Jose has been sinking back into the darkness. He's just like Bane over there. I was born in the darkness.
He's playing this like an old Soviet player in the park. You know, it's like that story about Simagin, the old Soviet grandmaster. He played e4, c6, d4, d6. They asked him why he didn't play d5. He said, I didn't have the strength to push the pawn 2 squares.
Such a good story.
Yeah. It's such a just Soviet chess like situation. And same thing for Sevian. He didn't have the strength to push the f pawn 2 squares. And now he's paying a very steep price for it.
Yeah.
Very, very steep price for it.
And I think you can tell by body language that he's fully concentrated, but he's not thrilled about what's just transpired.
Also, didn't he start with more time?
He did. 15 minutes and 13.
And now doesn't he have less time?
You are good at math. Yes. 8 minutes, 58 seconds, more than 6:30.
I did consider majoring it, but decided that I would be, you know, my knowledge would be so unmatched that didn't like the professor selection. So ended up doing history. Yeah, so we should show, I guess, the problem with BCTC.
I was just holding in my laugh at you. So I was trying to be cordial and polite, but that was too amusing to think about.
I see.
Well, this position looks terrible.
As you amuse yourself, I'm going to amuse myself with these gaping weaknesses that White has created with what move? G3. Oof. That is the source of all of White's troubles.
What a surprising choice. And we can't forget that he won the first game, and then with Black in the second game, he seemed to be doing just fine. So it's just been a downward spiral for Sevian.
G3 is just, it's so bad from every perspective. You just don't see, you know, 2,700 GMs making moves like that. But Fischer Random, the irrationality of the position often causes players to just lose their minds, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and it sort of started at move 11 when he castled, right? We're talking about how he get pushed in the center with d5. He's been almost afraid, you know, reluctant to press forward in these positions. Maybe he's not trusting his calculation, but d5 was clearly a powerful push.
It was basically winning. I mean, I don't think that Jospin would have managed the complications there. You have to defend like a computer, and even then it's +2.
Yeah,
He still hasn't moved after c5 because he has no moves.
He probably just completely missed it. He thought that he had it under control. And I guess I understand why he went g3 in a way. There's no bishop takes h2 check. So he was targeting the c6 pawn, but it's clear that this was a huge, not even mistake, but he just completely overlooked the move c5.
Right, and technically he does have the square c5 under defense, but now he gives up his light squared bishop. He's going to have major problems on the light squares along the a8 h1 diagonal.
Nah, this is a problem.
Absolutely horrible. And let's not forget, black only needs a draw, which is the best news of all for Jose.
And this knight on h5 is trapped as well.
It is indeed. Now, which pawn do you take? Do you play bc
E4.
first?
No, I just take e4.
You just take e4. No, it's not. Well, I am calling a friend. I'm actually calling you. So
wow, I'm honored. Look at you, admitting that we're friends in front of all these people.
I know it took a lot of strength of mind. So bishop takes e4 is what we're settling on. Okay, let's take a rook d1.
Yeah, just move my queen anywhere. I don't know where.
c6.
Sure.
That's okay.
I don't want to trade queens though. I'm going to checkmate you. Queen b5 instead.
Queen b5, yeah. You have this little maneuver. Ugh. No, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Takes on c5.
So
goes Jose.
Not take on e4, and now he will.
And it's probably even better.
Yeah, I think Sam is just losing his patience here with this position.
Well, even if his position weren't horrible, he's got no time. 4 minutes for a position like this? Nah.
No, I don't see it happening either. What's the hesitation? Bishop takes e4 is just kind of a no-brainer. Maybe he's attracted to knight e5. I don't know.
But this is the problem when you have such a good position, and then you're thinking, oh, this move, yeah, that looks good, but let me find something fancier or better. And that's when you start making mistakes, right? Like you're doing too much. The simple move is best here.
Yeah. And if you're Jose, you want to keep this time advantage. You don't want this getting into a time scramble because then we know it's anybody's game. You're giving Sam unnecessary chances. So I would... Oh, and he does go 95. I wasn't really serious. I just kind of threw it out.
I think I know why he went 95. If we just backtrack to that moment where he could have taken on e4 there, I think he was worried about knight g4 and knight takes f6 tactics, those kind of things.
So knight g4, bishop d3, and for example, knight takes f6.
I don't think it really pans out, but it does start to look worrisome for that black king.
Agreed completely. And I think he's trying to eliminate all possible counterplay.
He's doing a pretty good job of it.
He most certainly has. Let's take a look at the live position. This is it. No, it's back to being terrible for white.
Yeah, I wonder
two bishops against two knights. Wow.
I wonder where the opportunity was because the bar just went right back towards the middle, and then he went knight to c4, and it said, that's not it.
Well, there was nothing to write home about. Apparently, the best move was rook d1, sending the queen to c6, and then queen c4. Basically saying, I'm going to give up the e4 pawn, but only at the cost of a queen trade.
Yeah, I'm not...
But white's not going to win this, ever. Right.
That's the problem. A must-win scenario. This is...
Here you're groveling for a draw.
Yeah, that's not it.
Okay, queen c6 played. No, this is... I don't like to use the word over in Armageddon because I've seen it all. But this is basically over.
There's no increment, right? So for Sevian, who's down under 3 minutes, he's down on the clock. He's down on the board. He's down in the match.
Bishop takes c5. And he's about to be down in material after the knight on d6 is captured. I think he wants bishop takes c5, knight takes e6.
Yeah, but just take on d6. You have 2 minor pieces for a rook.
Exactly. No. There's no hope. Now back to c4 he goes.
And now e6 is defended, so you don't have to worry about that.
So rook d4, and I guess rook c8.
Bishop
Oh,
takes F2.
great move. Bishop takes F2.
Just another threat to add into the position.
Yep, to your collection. No, that's it.
I don't even think white has a move here.
No.
Because knight d2, there's still bishop takes f2.
What about... Okay, if I go... Yeah, I was going to suggest a queen move. Now, of course, bishop to bishop f2. Bishop takes f2, and but okay, I mean, black is but of course, black is better.
Black is completely and utterly winning.
Winning, yeah. and most importantly, the position is virtually unlosable, barring a mouse slip. Sam's facial expression says it all. He's thrilled. He's thrilled to have this position with white. He's smiling and he's drinking water.
Well, Sam beat Jose in the final round of the Swiss, but it's Jose who's getting the last laugh here.
It is Jose. And he doesn't take on f2.
Yeah,
I would not have been able to resist. This, of course, is also perfectly sufficient.
Okay, so queen h5 threatening, knight g6 check. So king g8, queen e8 played. That's pretty good. That's great, actually.
Milking the fact that he only needs a draw.
And rubbing it in his face. Queen c6. Yeah, Sam down to 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Even if he can somehow save this over the board, he's not going to save this because of his clock.
Right. Okay, there's also, I guess there's also queen b5, but why experiment when you know that the queen on c6 is incredibly strong?
Right. Queen c6 stops rook c1 because the e4 pawn is loose there.
Although the e6 pawn will be loose after that, but I agree.
Bishop pair and enemies. Queen b5, your move.
Okay, so now a moment for Sevian. Rook c1, yep.
Is bishop takes a3 even possible? Oh, no, the queen on e2 is protected. This is how you...
Oh, and I totally bought it. I was like, yeah. I was like trying to... Okay, is there like rook c3? That's exactly what happens in these games. Maybe white will play queen h5, and black will not notice that their queen is hanging.
That might be something that Sam needs to try. Sounds like a joke.
Is it that this level of desperation, though? I thought... Oh.
He's going back for knight g6.
And how does black stop it? King g8?
Yeah, king g8.
Good move by Mr. Martinez. Uh-oh, white has to drop the knight back. Good job by Sevian, though. He's doing everything he can here.
He's staying alive.
Yeah, I mean, his position isn't exactly the bees. Bees, jeez, but...
Nice one.
Unfortunately, there was a little disconnect because the expression is bee's knees and the band is Bee Gees.
Daniel, why do you always explain the jokes? I knew the joke. And people watching know the joke. Yeah, no, we all understood what you were doing, and then you got to explain it for no reason.
I know. It's a bad habit. I need to fight it. It's a terrible habit.
Wait, the eval bar?
Queen G4. Speaking of terrible habits. Wait.
Oh,
Queen H3. Because if he played Queen G4, then black would have had maybe F5 with tempo. Right. Oh my God. Is Jose losing? Queen takes C6.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Does Sevian have enough time? Look at him. He's focused.
He's smiling.
Yeah, you could see he looked at his clock.
Can't believe it.
He just
now, it's
looked
not
at his
over
clock.
yet. Yeah, he's at 90 seconds.
And Jose just made the hand gesture. What did I do? What was I thinking?
Oh my God. How did this happen? Oh, Rook C1. No. Rook C1 doesn't work.
Okay, he goes knight F3.
It's Rook C1 now?
Ooh, how are you going to win this as white, though? It's going to take
Especially
forever.
Down 2 minutes.
But Sam is very good at bullet.
He's so fast. And he actually could try to go for the flag here. I know that sounds crazy, but there's such large operating costs if you're playing black here. Every move will take you 30 seconds.
And I think Jose's doing the right thing, just trying to come up with some sort of plan. Uh-oh, but now that the bishop is pinned.
The bishop is pinned, and the knight could jump into e6 if the king moves away.
No, this is really getting away from Jose.
Jajospam here, not very good. Rook a7 is the other idea, going after the a6 pawn. Now, rook versus bishop 3-on-3 is winning.
Okay, so g6, is there any threat?
Rook a7, Sam doing it all. Bishop d3 maybe?
Knight f4.
Or just knight
c7
c7, knight
to
takes
d5.
a6 to Jospin.
Oh gosh, how did this happen? I don't think Jose can believe it. Look at him; he's already resigned.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not after such a ridiculous turnaround? What haven't we seen in Armageddon's? I mean, this is just nutty.
And Sam is way too fast. That's the problem for Jose at this point.
He has already shaved a minute off his time deficit, and he's about to shave another minute in the next 3 moves.
Rook b7. What a
knight b5. Move. No, this is over.
I'm not throwing in the towel for Jose yet.
I'm throwing in the towel.
Bishop f7. Okay, goes here to protect. This isn't that
Robert,
easy.
Stop saying that the game is over. Don't you throw in the towel for Jose. Come on. You've never seen him save positions like this before?
Oh,
shame on you.
Shame on me indeed. Bishop a6, just run away.
Dangerous pre-move, but okay.
Bishop moves somewhere. But you're so right that, I mean, look at every move. It's taking up so much time.
I would say the overhead is like, so it's so hard not to blunder your bishop here. While Sevian, okay, he can't pre-move, obviously, but he can move
rook a7.
Rook a7, unstoppable!
Or bishop b6 or bishop rook b4.
And you take the b7 bishop with check, so black can't even trade the bishop for the knight. It's 1-0, ladies and gentlemen.
How in the world is Sam Sevian doing this?
We need an instant replay. That 3-move stretch was nuts. Absolute nutso.
I feel for Jose.
God, that's tragic. It was right there. Okay, resign. It's time to resign.
And you know what's so look at Sam. He can't believe it, right? He just grabbed his head. He leans back in the chair. And obviously Sam gets to move on. But what often happens in these types of situations, Danya, is the player who should have been eliminated early, once they're like getting that feeling of invincibility, they may go on to win the whole thing.
Oh, totally. When you get lucky like this at the start, you're like, hey, I want to exploit the fact that I'm even in this thing, as you're saying. Now, it started somewhere here. Jose playing a little bit inaccurately, but after Queen H5, you got the sense that Sam is starting to generate threats. Still, Black is totally in control of the situation. He takes on A4, Sam drops his rook away from C1. And this move, rook C5, Robert, it was so impulsive.
Right. Like, it's a one-move threat. Yeah, and that rook was doing again. But that rook was doing such an important job of defending the e6 pawn. So a move like rook d6 would have been a little bit better, just keeping everything nice and protected.
He has plenty of time. He's got 4 minutes to 143. Yeah. And then queen d7, blundering that the queen trade is forced and the rooks are forked.
Just an absolute howler from Jose Martinez. And you got to feel for him. He was playing so well here. And Danya, we saw this in the Rapid Chess Championship against Ding the Ren. Now we're seeing it against Sam Sevian. I'm not trying to weave a storyline together, but just unfortunate for Jose that in these events where it seems like he's rising to the occasion, just something goes wrong nearing the end of the game.
He definitely struggles with conversions. I think he gets nervous, and it's totally understandable. You're playing a monster, a multiple-time winner of RCC weekend tournaments. And Sam Sevian, he is a beast. He outlasts Jose in lost position, and he will try to make it count by winning in the semifinals. I can't wait for these next 2 matchups.
I can't wait either. We are going to get Sam Sevian versus Eric Hansen. We have Vladimir Fedoseev taking on Alexander Bortnik. 2 absolutely great matchups in store for you all. We are going to take a break. Let Sam Sevian, the other players, get set for the semifinal matchups. Stay tuned for more from the World Fischer Random Chess Championship 2022 qualifier number 1.
Use gifts from the biggest chess stars on all of your favorite platforms. Just search chess.com and your favorite chess star on Discord, Twitter, WhatsApp, and more to find hundreds of gifts from chess.com's biggest broadcasts and events. Hikaru, Magnus, Botez, Hess, and even me, Danny. Try it today.
Welcome back to the World Fischer Random Chess Championship Qualifier number 1. Danya, we just had some excitement with Sam Sevian coming back from the dead to take down Jose Martinez in an Armageddon match. That leaves us with 4 players remaining. And as we look at the bracket, who you got? Make it to tomorrow's final.
Well, Sam Sevian, we talked about it. Let's not mince words. He got lucky against Jose, but he got lucky because he's Sam frickin' Seven and the guy is a beast. I think that he's going to make his luck count. And I'm going to call for Sevian to win. I think Fedoseev is the favorite in his match against Bortnik. But Eric Hansen, he played phenomenally against Vidit. So this is going to be super competitive. I think both matches are going to be really, really interesting.
They will indeed. In these matches, they have 2 games. You get white and black in the same exact starting position. 15-minute plus 2-second increment. That is the time control. And if it is tied 1-1, as we just saw, it's Armageddon with bidding. But the games are getting set. They're underway. We can see Eric Hansen off to the side. He's dancing right now. I'm not sure if he realizes that his game has started, Danya.
He's
but
dancing.
look at him.
Yeah, he is. He's vibing to the music. Damn, girl.
Yeah, either he's just looking at the position and
Eric,
studying
hello.
Getting himself excited, or he just doesn't know.
Or he's vibing and thinking at the same time. Yeah, maybe. Right. But this position is very interesting. So Sevian plays d4, but it kind of looks like e4 because the kings are there.
Yeah.
Dutch. Oh, he's threatening. Oh, no, he's not.
What were you going to say?
I thought he was threatening to take on a2.
Yeah, no, the knight on c1 covers it. Oh, wait, is Eric streaming?
I would imagine that he is.
So if Eric is...
Let me check.
If Eric's streaming, then we might have a delay like we get with the card.
Eric is streaming, but Aman is covering... No, this is hilarious. Aman is streaming on their channel, and he's playing Blitz. This is the most classic Chessbra thing ever. Eric is playing a Fischer Random tournament. They are streaming, but it's actually Aman who's streaming, and he's doing something unrelated.
Oh, so Eric's not streaming, is what you're saying.
No.
Got it.
That was a very long-winded way of saying no.
Oh, Eric is streaming on his personal channel, we're being told. I didn't even know he had a personal channel. I thought they just, the Chess Bras did everything together.
Oh, he does? Damn, girl.
Well, he's
Are
talking.
we seeing some disunion among the ranks here?
Yeah, oh my God. Is there drama in the Chess Bra universe?
Is there scandal? Like, oh my God, like, are Aman and Eric fighting?
Also, is Sam Sevian looking right at us?
Yeah, he's piercing us with his eyes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the position a little bit as the game is underway here.
I don't like what Eric is doing here.
Me neither. I love White's central control. There's a knight on d6 and b6. And we've seen this a lot with knights going to, in previous games, f5 and h5 and things like that. But the knights going to a4 and c4 don't feel so powerful.
But does Eric realize that when he plays the move knight c4, he's not going to be threatening, like knight e3 check, this bishop occupies a great defensive square, and if Sevian wants to be very ambitious here, he could contemplate the move d5, threatening bishop d4.
That's true. I like that a lot. You mentioned ideas like that yesterday. That's a big threat, and it also just gains white important space. So I'm a fan of d5. I think that black can easily castle, right? Castling queenside, just putting the king on c8 and the rook on d8. The white king is going to stay put on d1 for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. No, white is better. No question about it. Better central control, better placed pieces.
I'm just worried about the king.
You're worried about white's king.
Just because you can't castle.
Okay, so then you could play bishop e3 if you really wanted to castle, but then you're potentially walking into knight ac4 with tempo.
Right.
Crap, I just realized I forgot my coffee in the bathroom. Can I leave you for 10 seconds?
So you left your coffee in the bathroom of all places?
Yeah, because I refilled my coffee and then I set it down in the bathroom because I need to pee.
You're just on.
Go.
Just get out of here.
Stop. Commentate.
Stop over-explaining. What a weird guy he is. And we're going to take Danya off screen as he runs to the bathroom to get his coffee, because that's, of course, where everyone makes their coffee and sets it down. But we see Eric Hansen still bopping his head, still feeling both the music and the position. But I think Eric's playing a little bit too quickly. We saw after bishop e3, instead of taking on e3 and bring a knight to c4, as we thought might happen, he instead just brings his queen to f8. Not a bad move at all, but he was saying 1.5 seconds. Yes, he was thinking on Sevian's turn, but with the unfamiliarity with these types of positions, I think that players are better off if they use more time. Hello, Danya.
Hello. How was your solo commentating experience?
Honestly, felt pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah, but welcome back.
Oh.
Were you okay?
Yes.
Okay, I was worried about you for a second.
I just stopped hearing you for a second. Now I can hear you again.
Oh, so you felt like you were all alone in the world, and
No, I mean, this is always what I wanted to happen. I hope my headphones fail when commentating with you.
Well, I'm going to change the board and the subject, because if you look at the other game, look at what's happening over there. We're only 4 moves in this other game.
What? What is this?
This is just the wild, wild west here.
Okay, let's rewind it, shall we? E4, which looks like D4.
Mm-hmm.
E5, F3, opening up the bishop, C5, and the wing gambit by Fedoseev. Or by Bortnik, I apologize.
What is happening in this game?
And he doesn't recapture that pawn either.
I like White's position.
I love what Bortnik is doing. This is awesome because he's going to take on D4. He's attacking the rook. Bishop D6 walks into queen takes G7, although maybe this is what Fedoseev should do.
Difficult decision.
This is not out of the question. But if he plays, for example, D6 or knight C7, then White most certainly will take on D4, right?
Yes.
With the bishop, not with the rook.
Yeah, take with the bishop on D4 and then continue development. And as is typical in the wing gambit as well, you give up a pawn towards the flank to take control over the center. And the kings remain in the center on the D file, but White's king has an easier time castling kingside. You move this light square bishop to say D3, your king goes on over to G1, and he goes to E2 instead of D3. Yeah, he wants to leave the D file open. Makes sense.
And White is preparing to probably castle kingside with the move bishop E2.
Yeah, it's just one of these positions, Danya, where I see the eval seeing slightly better for black, but it's just a mess, right? Yeah. Just a very complex game, and I'm not reading too much into it for the time being.
Well, I'm worried at the moment for the safety of black's king. I think Fedoseev should make it a priority, if he can, to be able to castle queenside at the very least. Because if you think about it, if White castles kingside, puts a rook on D1, storm clouds will begin to gather around black's king. That could get really, really dangerous.
Yeah, that's looking troubling. Although that black king may end up on G8 once the bishops and the queen move out the way. A bishop E6, a queen G6, a bishop E7, and then castle kingside, which is really castling long here.
Yep. Castling short is castling long. E4 is actually D4. B4 is actually G4, and queen G6 is on the board. Good move by Vladimir.
Yeah, there's no universe where Bortnik can afford a queen trade at this moment. So I think that it's just a position where you drop the queen back to F2, threaten the A7 pawn, and you're getting ready to castle kingside.
Yeah, so maybe I overestimated White's position a little bit. I mean, this is very typical Bortnik style, B4, D4, mixing things up, and talk about slippery. I mean, it doesn't matter how lost Bortnik is on the board, he will find a way to mix things up and get chances.
Okay, but Fedoseev, we know that he just sits and evaluates the position. He's not somebody who is going to be riled up by the chaos that's on the board. So he's doing a great job, I think, bringing his pieces out. Knight E7, Knight C6. He is up a pawn here, Danya, and I see compensation, but is it going to be long-term, or is Black going to quickly develop and protect everything?
Yeah, and White's knights are kind of still in the gutter here, especially the knight on A1. The pawn on B6 is doing a very good job of restricting that knight should it develop itself to B3. And without the services of his knights, White is going to have a very hard time punishing Black for his play. And Fedoseev could castle queenside here if you wanted to.
Right.
But I wouldn't do that. That would kind of potentially walk into a sack on B6.
Yeah, and didn't feel like you need to rush that decision.
Right.
If you are eventually going to castle queenside, you're going to stay on the same side of the board that your king's already on. So I would just wait a little bit. I think he's going to go bishop e6 and get ready to castle to the king side.
I agree. And then maybe white will try knight d3 and knight f4.
Which is actually pretty annoying.
So is...
Whoa. Yeah. Sorry, I just looked at the other game as well. I mean, we have two matches going on. Sorry to be juggling this, but we have no choice. But the other game also involves a pawn sacrifice from the player with the white pieces.
Let's switch to Sevian against Eric Hansen. And here it is Sam Sevian who sacked the pawn. And I like this a heck of a lot more than I like Bortnick's position.
Yeah,
okay, so let's see how this happened.
Yeah, but he castled queenside after bishop e3.
Oh, he did play bishop e3.
Yeah, and then just said, I'll give you that e4 pawn. Have it. Enjoy
Take it. And then after king b1, this is a tempo move because the knight on e4 is hanging.
Mm-hmm.
Forcing the knight back to f6. Of course, you wouldn't want to go d5 here and create gaping weaknesses all over the center and the king side.
Right.
So he goes back, and h4 by Sam Sevian, starting the engine on the king side.
Yeah, no, it's saying if you are really going to bring your king all the way over to g8, I'm going to go try to checkmate you on this side of the board as well. So difficult choices for Eric, who has no space. Look at his pieces, right? All of his pawns, except for the g pawn, are on the 7th rank. And the e7 pawn is hanging if you were to castle queenside. So you'd have to spend a turn making like rook e8 or something. But the white knight can also jump into e5, threatening knight f7.
Mm-hmm.
You have pawn g4 coming. I really, really, really like this for Sevian.
Yeah, practically speaking, highly, highly unpleasant for Mr. Hansen. Funny comment in the chat from Zafraz. I wish someone looked at me like Sam looks at his position.
Well, I don't think Zafraz would have said that a game ago when Sam was playing against Jose, because early on in that game, I think Sam wanted to look at anything else in the world besides his pieces.
There's also somebody in the chat whose handle is TSM Hess. Did you sign off on that?
Nope, did not.
Ooh.
I mean, what if I just, join a different esports org? You know me, I'm all about those esports teams.
Right. That's like when somebody, that's like when somebody's like Daniel Noroditsky and I freak out and then I realize there's one letter wrong. Or when someone calls you from a number that looks exactly like your own. Yes,
those spam calls.
Yeah, but that always creeps me out because that reminds me of that urban legend horror story where, you get a call and it's from inside your house.
Yes.
So, anyways, won't talk more about that.
Wow, you seem scared. You need a friend? You need a hug?
Hey, I've watched more horror movies than probably you and most people in the chat combined.
No, if that's true, but I'll let you have this one so we can focus on the chess.
All right, touche. So he castles queenside, does Eric Hansen, which I think is a step in the right direction for black. What do you think?
Yeah, because queen takes e7 will allow knight d5, knight e3. It gives black the ability to quickly seize the initiative. And if I'm Sevian, I'm trying to target the king side, the queen side, with like a queen a5, a knight c5, those types of moves.
Yeah, so maybe something like this. What do you think about putting the queen on a3?
I was even going to leave the pawn on e7 initially, actually.
Straight away go queen a5.
Or maybe knight c5 first. That way I leave the threat of queen takes e7 open.
Uh-huh. So let's try that, knight c5. Oh, yeah, that's a lovely move. And queen a5 is on deck.
Followed by bishop a6.
Yep, and this reminds me of like the tactics we see almost in every game. With like, you know what I mean? Like the knight on c5 or on a5. That seems to be a very common theme in today's Fischer Random games.
And look at Eric. What's he doing?
Yeah, what is he? Is he pulling a Parham?
But even more energetic than Parham. Like Parham has like a brief moment where he lets loose. Eric is vibing.
Well, I don't know if I'd be that happy with his position if I were him.
He's happy about his time management. Oh, okay. So it looks like Sevian took on e7, and then the knight b6 went to d5.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he took on e7. I wasn't really taking that move all that seriously. Because if you sack a pawn, you kind of sign an unspoken agreement that your top priority is not to win the pawn back. It's to keep nurturing your compensation. And this may have cost Sevian a couple of important tempi.
Yeah, queen a3, as you mentioned, king b8. The black king is not going to find itself under fire, at least not that quickly, it would seem. And yeah, I'm starting to feel this for Eric because look at that H4 pawn, right? You're pointing out to the G4 square. It feels like black is the one who's just hopping in. That's what happens when you have knights.
I feel like the landscape of the position has changed completely as a result of queen takes e7, which I think practically speaking might end up being a serious mistake. He does put the knight on c5 anyway. What is his response going to be to d6? Or am I missing something obvious?
I'm wondering if I can sack my knight
on b7.
b7.
I'm thinking about that, but I don't know. I take it. Bishop a6 check and queen a4?
Or like queen a6 and bishop b5 kind of thing.
What would Danya do here? Yeah. I think I would do this in a bullet game, but probably would chicken out in a classical game.
At bishop b5?
And you're threatening the devastating lobster pincer mate with bishop c6. And if you move your knight back, white doesn't even have to hurry. White can just bring the rook into the game with the rook he1, for example. By the way, I think this is an important point that a lot of players forget. When they sacrifice a piece, they get into this like, every move has to create a check zone. But that's not always true, right? Even if you're a piece down, you can often make moves that accumulate the attack.
It's very true. And everyone likes to do things. I studied chess and I learned forced checkmates. Anytime you do puzzles, right? It's check,
right.
Mate of some sort. Whereas that's not how it always works in when you're playing somebody else. When they're fighting back, it might be a position where instead of giving the check, the threat is strong in the execution. So that could be the case in this game. And I think Eric is doing the right thing by spending a lot of time here, Danya. His queen on h6, not participating in the defense of the king side. So he's got to be very careful.
The queen could re-enter society with queen f8, but the downside of that move is that you could be A, walking into a potential rook f1, pinning the knight on f6, and B, it's just kind of passive, and you can't even play d6 after that, because then you'd be walking into a fork on e6.
That's true.
So not an easy position to handle, really, for either side.
Not at all. I'm struggling to find a move in this particular position. Like, I don't really know what the best choice is. I am worried about knight takes b7. So how do I stop there? How do I make myself feel better about it?
Okay, b6 is too wild. Although I wouldn't cast it out immediately. b6, knight a6, king b7. I really dislike it. c4 and knight takes c7. I mean,
looks so scary.
No, that's not serious.
Even something simple like bishop e2 to f3 looks worrisome in that position.
No, I agree completely. So how do you coordinate your defensive efforts here?
Maybe g5, kind of a strange move, but I'm just trying to bring my queen along the 6th rank.
Yep. And you can't really take because of queen takes h1. But what if I try knight takes b7, king takes b7, and then I take on g5?
Okay, so I take with my queen on g5.
Oh my god, sorry, I hallucinated. I thought you have to take on h1. I was so proud of myself for setting up this. Okay, it is a nice idea, queen h1, bishop
yeah,
h6.
no, it totally is. But
just queen g5 and there's no follow-up. Yeah, sorry.
Right. No, you're all good.
Hallucination.
But also, I mean, it doesn't work in this position, but dragging the queen away from the 6th rank could lead to an attack in a different setup. So it's one of those things that doesn't work here, but could work elsewhere.
So knight takes b7 is not a threat, but it becomes a threat if black plays d6, primarily because of the weakening of the c6 square, but also because the queen is shut out of the game.
Yes. Also notice how Eric has stopped dancing.
Right? Well, he's still like... It's like when old CDs, when the song ends, it just gets quieter and quieter until it ends. It peters out.
Okay, he started dancing again as soon as I said that.
Oh, no, he's turning it up again, yep.
But it's all in the shoulders now. Before it was like a full body dance. Now it's just like the seated dance. When you
now Sevian is like moving around too.
Yeah, Sevian's relaxed. I think he's starting to feel very confident about his position because Eric is deep in the think tank, down to 5 minutes and about to be 15 seconds, and Sevian up a lot of time with the attack.
And Sevian has the like Friday afternoon post work, I'm gonna watch some Netflix kind of look about him. Okay, not anymore. But when his arms were behind his head, like You know, I'm pretty satisfied in my life kind of look.
Yeah, he's digging his position right now. And Eric, he's trying to get himself motivated. He goes rook h to e8. Makes sense going to the open file. But what about bishop a6?
Bishop a6. You can't take that bishop. That's for sure. Yeah, what about bishop a6? Is he going to go b6 there?
I think he has to.
Really, Riley? Knight b7, rook c8. That might be a dead end for white.
You know what that reminds me of, Danya? Is the game between Fabiano and Dingley Ren from the candidates.
The one which Ding won with black.
Yeah, but Fabiano goes knight to g7 really early on, like bishop h6, knight g7.
Oh, and the Rai Lopez. Yep, exactly. And then his pieces kind of got stuck there.
Yes, like this, right? b6, knight
Great
b7.
comparison.
And after rook c8, maybe your best move is to bring your knight back and then just make a draw.
But where would you bring it back
c5.
to? So you're saying black would not take on c5.
I think d.
Yeah, this is very dangerous. There would be no need for Eric
Is
to
this
go for it.
still say zeros?
Zeros.
Of course, right? I'm like, this looks winning for white. This you can't do this, and obviously you can't.
Yeah, I mean, black can try. No, but I would never go for this with black because the knights are so flimsy here, and white has so many attacking ideas.
Never.
This sucks, practically speaking. No, this sucks. So black would go rook d8, and you would get the Fabi repetition.
That he didn't go for.
He didn't go for and ended up losing. Yeah.
So I think if not for bishop a6, white is going to be worse very quickly. Because look at all of black's pieces. They're on perfect squares defending each other on the open file. So I think that Sevian, he needs to go for something like bishop a6.
Yeah, the time is ticking. Black has full central control, which means that unless you create something pronto on the queen side, you know, you're very likely to get squashed in the center with knight e3 and knight g4 and all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah, I think we should stay on this game, but Don, just quickly flash the other game just so we can update people. We'll stay here though, everybody, so don't worry. We're just gonna show you what that game looks like very quickly because bishop a6 was played. But in the other game, it looks like Bortnick remains down a pawn, and the dark square domination is real.
He's actually down 2 pawns.
2?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, but he's going for mate.
Yeah, it's actually not clear at all who's better here because that battery on the e-file is very, very serious. Black's king is going to be permanently weak, even if Fedoseev goes h6.
Well, that's a draw, right? Rook e8.
Oh, rook e8, yeah.
Just force a draw more or less.
Let me show that really quickly. h6, rook e8 check. You're not going to go king h7 here.
I'm not.
Neither is Fedoseev, I think. And here, queen takes e8 check, king h7, and you have a perpetual of queen g6.
Yeah, just back and forth. e8 to g6, g8 to h7. It's a draw.
Right, exactly.
And I wonder if Fedoseev will just make this draw now because I feel like playing on with like rook d8, allowing rook to e7, it looks kind of worrisome.
Especially against someone like Bortnick. This is right up his alley. He's so tricky in these positions. Here's an example. Rook d8, rook e7. One idea that I just spotted. If black plays queen back to d6, maybe there's g5. F takes g5 and f6.
That's gorgeous.
Can't take with a queen because you drop the knight. Can't really take with a pawn because you drop the h7 pawn with a decisive attack. Queen e4 coming next.
Oh, that's actually really, really nice. So yeah, no, good point there. And if that's the case, then I think that Fedoseev is best off just playing h6, saying the best you're going to get is this repetition instead of going down these more tactical lines.
And with this clock dwindling, I think you should make that decision sooner rather than later.
Agreed.
In the meantime, we have Konovets against Hansen, and Eric has indeed played the move b6.
Oh, but
Sevian, rather than going for the drawing line, he drops his knight back to d3. Very questionable decision there. And Eric immediately jumps into action with knight f6 to g4, as we discussed.
And there's a reason why Eric's dancing. His position is now just better. There's not much of an attack that I can see. The e3 square for, I don't even know what piece. Which knight, the rook, the queen, you choose, Danya. All of those options look good.
Maybe Sevian with a slightly unjustified feeling of invincibility after that last game against Jose.
Yeah, that pawn sacrifice may be one that he regrets just because he did recoup the material.
Ooh.
But now Eric's pieces are streaming in.
But the eval bar did not like this move. Why not? Is it because of c4 at some point? And knight b4 maybe?
Ooh, that's starting to look scary. Just when I was saying there's no attack. And instead,
he1.
Sam goes rook e1.
These moves are so unpredictable.
But it makes sense. There's back rank problems for black.
Yeah, queen a4, queen takes d7 if you take on g3. But that is very slow.
Or knight e5. Oh, no, not, there's knight on g4. Never mind. But I wanted to take on d7 with something.
I mean, something to the
C4,
effect of knight.
C4.
Yeah, c4.
And queen
the
e7.
knight is nowhere good to go.
I thought queen e7 was coming, but then there's queen f8. So I'm also struggling to wrap my head around the position here.
Speaking of queen f8, he plays it immediately. Can you believe we're only on move 19?
No.
It's like so much has happened.
Well, queen f8 is a great move by Eric.
Yeah, I mean, trades obviously in black's favor with the kind of control that he has over the center. And in an endgame, white would really suffer with his weak pawns on the king side.
And the lead on the clock is extremely important. It's almost 2 minutes. And Seven, he shows that he can play in the time scramble, but in this kind of position, I don't think so. Not what you want.
Yeah, he's been on his back foot now for 2 games in a row. And he's going to have to tread very, very carefully if he wants to keep the flames of initiative alive on the queen side. Queen a4, queen d6. Eric centralizes his queen. Sensible.
I was about to say, I like the way Eric's playing, but I can see the eval bar not totally approving of that move. Yeah, right. We're having the same reaction. Maybe.
It almost works, but not quite. There's some details missing. Oh!
Yes.
Oh, I see a super cool line. Really quickly, knight e5. Okay, obviously this is like all up in the air because it's not forced. I was calculating takes, rook e5.
Okay.
Rook e5, queen e5, c4.
Oh, you want queen c6 at the end?
Yeah, but then the black has queen f4. First of all, this is losing on the spot because I think black has knight e3. But anyways, just to show the idea. Whoop, queen c6, but black has queen e4 with a check. So even this is good for black.
Wow, that's actually an unbelievable line. The point was that queen b7 mate is the threat, and if you took on c6, the rook on d8 was hanging with a back rank checkmate. So knight e5 played, by the way.
Okay.
He's
so
going
maybe this is not
that,
such an absurd line.
But it looks like Eric quickly grabs the knight e5.
Oh, he takes the rook though. No, this is the same line.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm giving myself a little pat on the back.
Eric seemingly. Oh my goodness! You know what's amazing here?
Yes.
If you play c4, black plays knight b4.
Oh my god, what a move!
It's just the same thing in reverse. Oh my gosh.
You can't take the queen and you can't take the rook for the same reason. Black has 2 points of contact to the first rank.
And queen d3 check is a just brutal threat.
And so it's queen d2.
Oh.
Rook f1 played by Sam with 38 seconds on his clock. This is crisis time for Sevian.
Yeah, I don't think you want to sacrifice a pawn and then move your rook away. That's not in the spirit of a pawn sack.
He is threatening c4 now, though. So that would necessitate, I would imagine, a queen move. But where do you put it? Queen e6, queen c5, queen e7.
Hansen with the black piece today. Just such sturdy defense.
No? Rook e1.
E1 looks very good.
If rook d3, then you have maybe knight b4.
There it is.
So, maybe not the best.
Yeah, but still really good.
Right.
I think maybe knight b4 first. I think your knight jump was the right thing to do.
Oh, knight b4 and then rook e1. Okay, that makes sense. And you had distraction ideas with the first rank.
But Eric's position still is amazing here.
Knight b4. He's up a pawn. The attack has been fully beaten back and neutralized. White is out of pieces.
It's black's turn to attack.
It is indeed black's turn to attack with that monster sitting there on b4. You cannot play c3 because of queen e4 check.
Oof.
Okay, maybe you can, but it's dangerous. Because you've got bishop d3 there. But anyways.
He played c3.
Queen e4, bishop d3, queen f3.
Oh, it's a good find. Very important find.
But queen a4, you can go king a1. It's not the end of the world.
And if knight c2, then we trade
King
queens.
a2.
There's knight e3 at the end, so like black can go up into rooking up a pawn, but that's actually I don't think winning because white's rook is very active.
What about queen f3 anyway?
I love queen f3.
Rook c1. And then...
And just knight d5.
Yeah, just chill.
Play.
Just chill. Up a pawn, dominating the king side. By the way, you can start gobbling on the king side.
23 seconds left remaining for Sevian, and I'm also just keeping an eye on the other board. It looks like Fedoseev continues to improve his position, but it's very unclear. His king is not safe, but he's up material.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Hopefully we'll get a chance to watch the finale of both games, but this one is so tense with Sam Sevian on his last seconds and on his last legs here.
Hansen playing amazingly
Amazing.
Well. Okay, so what's his choice going to be? Is he going to bring his rook into the game?
Rook f8 comes to mind. Rook f8, rook f4 is an idea.
Right.
What you need to be careful of if you're black is not to allow activity. Ooh, I don't know about the trade, though. I don't like that at all.
Oh, rook e7 by knight d5, so that's very important.
Maybe bring your king up. I don't love the trade by Eric, but I think he's still going to win.
What he's done is he shut down this bishop on f1.
Beautiful. And d5 to bury that bishop once and for all. Okay, not immediately because of rook e7 check.
Yeah, so play rook f7 first, and then do what you're gonna do.
We'll bury you with d5.
It was knight d. Oh, he wanted some tactics.
Knight b6, knight c4, rook f2. He wants a mating net.
Unbelievable play.
Dude, Eric is just seeing everything right now. He's playing so fast and so accurately.
So rook e2 might be necessary, but there's rook f4. Okay, well, rook f2, knight c4. I think this is not being stopped.
Yeah, rook f2, rook a7, and king slides back to b8. Knight a4 is possible, but I wouldn't rush that.
Okay, he's gone for it.
He does it, okay.
Rook h2. Just, I mean, white can't move.
Even knight takes b2.
Oh, you would, and so would Eric.
You blank, blank, blank.
You pawn grabber.
You three-toed pull out the Shakespearean insult list.
Yeah. Well, a5, chop chop, rook e7?
Five and okay, but rook e7, wait a minute. This is not completely over just yet.
He wants like rook f2, c5, c4 mate or something like that.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? But wait a second, you just lost a pawn.
Yeah, I don't love the technique. Great move, king c5, not king c4. Goes here.
Now, rook h3.
King
Preparing
C4.
king c4, but rook takes g6, Robert.
Then c5.
Rook h6 now has to be winning for black, but Eric definitely has made a bit of a hash of this.
And he's spending his time. I'm also keeping an eye on the other game as well. Oh my gosh, that one.
Oh my god, which game do we turn to? That game is crazy too.
I mean,
do we go to the other game?
I'd love to get both on screen at the same time. If possible, that would be the ideal situation, but both, I mean, the other one's not an end game. So,
God, Eric's not making progress. He's got to decide on king c4, Robert, at some point. You got to take the plunge. You cannot win this without giving up your g6 pawn. And Eric now down to 24 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
He's done it.
He's marched forward here.
Oh, rook g6, c5 threatens b4 with
b4
mate.
and rook a2 mate.
Shazam. Rook c6, rook takes h4 resigns.
Oh, that's totally game then.
Okay, Fedoseev.
Let's go to Fedoseev. Eric is going to take this one. Look at this other position.
God, so tense. Let me just... Oh my god, Fedosev's going to lose. Or is he?
Wow, what a move. Queen d6.
Queen d6. Perpetual. Does he have perpetual?
Oh, no,
No, he doesn't.
He went queen c5. Okay.
King h1, no checks.
But he takes c2.
It's not over yet, though. He's got all these checks on the back rank.
Queen
G4.
And then f5's hanging with check.
Yeah, but Bortik might allow that and then just run.
Yeah, because you can't take the bishop.
Don't play king e2.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, but Fedosev's taking everything.
He's up 4 pawns for a bishop.
But he's facing all these mate threats.
King g8, run away. Don't go e7.
He's got to go to e7. And he's got to give up a bunch of pawns.
Okay, but he's run all the way across.
And the good thing for Vladimir is that the H pawn is the wrong color. I think you would be proud of me for noticing that.
I'm very proud because I was about to say it. So well done, partner. And the point is that it's very likely that black is able to trade the A pawn off even for all three of the queenside pawns.
Look at that king.
Oh my
Boarding
god.
might lose this.
Queen takes A2 and he steals that pawn.
B6, but Boarding's going to steal 2 of them. No, he does not.
Oh my gosh. Look at that king. King A3.
King to C1.
Touchdown.
Will he go for the 2-point conversion?
B3. Oh my goodness.
It's a 3-result game.
Watch out for bishop D3 check.
Queen C2.
Great move. And watch out for queen C1 in some position.
Bishop D3 is a threat.
So he goes queen C3.
How does Fedosеев have 16 seconds all of a
A4.
sudden?
Push those pawns.
Oh my god, Boarding might lose this.
Queen D4. Okay.
Okay, now might end it perpetual.
King C2. What a brave move.
You can't stop B2.
Oh my goodness.
Queen A2. Queen A2.
Queen C3 to B3.
Oh my god, Fedosеев is a monster.
Queen B3, right?
Queen B3 resigns. Fedosеев wins.
How does he do it?
Oh my god, Boarding's still keeping himself alive.
How does Fedosеев do it?
Queen E3, but wait, he still has to win this. It's not elementary.
My dear Watson.
It is after Queen C1 or Queen C2. It's all over. Daniel
How
lost.
did he? How did he win this?
Why didn't he go Queen D1 check and force the Queen? Okay, Queen E2, Fedosеев, come on.
Queen
C4. He's had so many chances to trade queens.
And look at Bortnik is like, I can't believe it. And Fedosеев, there we go. He's breathed for the first time in like 25 minutes.
That was a beastly performance by Vladimir Fedosеев.
He ran with his king. King put on its Nikes, sprinted across the board, touched down on the other side, and then led the passed pawn to the promised land.
That was incredible. And the presence of mind to play Queen D6 with no time on the clock, he was getting mated. How does he do? And then he won that. Holy smokes! Boardnik is a devastating. We could look at his camera. Oh,
yeah, no, we're watching him off screen here. Just the guy is distraught. But that's always the good thing about Fischer Random. It's not like your standard game of chess where your opponent can more or less force a draw and you have to take all these risks. It's not like Fedosеев knows what to do in this position. He went F4 because he felt like it, not because he knows with any degree of certainty that's the right thing.
Yeah, but Fedosеев, I mean, knowing him, he doesn't get too high with the highs. He expects himself to win every game, every single game. So if he wins, it's an expected result, which is why he's not very animated.
And there's good news for both Hansen and Fedosеев as they won with the black pieces. It gives them white in the second game. I have been saying this time and time again. It's not that big of an advantage in Fischer Random to have the white pieces just because you don't know what the plan to seize control is. But still, both players should be thrilled with their current situation.
It's funny when you're playing Fischer Random and you have an unfamiliar arrangement of pieces. Sometimes I have this voice in my head which says, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea if the move I'm making is good or terrible, but you just got to embrace that, right? And for the first couple of moves, you're largely following your intuition because it's impossible to calculate. You just don't know how your development is going to pan out. And that makes it so fascinating.
Yes. And this looks like C4, C6 in a classical game of chess. But here we see F4, F6, and the queens are already over there.
Yeah, Queen H4, Queen G6.
So Queen H5, can we just, just get adventurous, Let's play for a win.
Yeah, maybe E5, but that weakens the entire king side, potentially, if the trade happens.
I'm guessing Fedosеев will play E4 and just play this like you would a standard game. Control the center, open up your bishops. Can't really complain about that. Nothing really happening in the other game. Still early on. And for the first 3 moves, the players have collectively spent about 5 minutes. So it's what happens in Fischer Random as you try to gather your bearings.
Right. E4, you are the Fedosеев whisperer.
Well, it just looked like a very natural choice to play in the center.
And the question for black, of course, whether to strike back. No, not E5, E7, E4, but E7, E5. That was my first coach's license plate, E7, E5, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
A pretty
I
good
was
one.
thinking of doing that, but I don't want to attract any more attention to myself because of chess.
Yeah, just see a car riding around in Charlotte with E7, E5.
Rebecca. Well, if I did it, I would probably do like R. Harris or something, or Dr. Tancredi.
No, I think you would do KID.
FTW.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
KID
God.
FTW. Do you remember that Reddit? There was a
I don't
big deal made over the Reddit post about somebody wanting to kill the kid.
What? Oh, the King's Indian.
Somebody posted about wanting to kill the kid, and like the cops were almost called when he was actually talking about the King's Indian. He wanted tips on beating the King's Indian. No. What happened was, this is a true story. The person's girlfriend discovered a Post-it note on their desk which said "kill the kid," and they had a kid, and he was a chess aficionado.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that actually happened.
I can understand how that'd be scary to read that.
I think people in the chat probably remember this too.
Yeah, I don't, Reddit's not really my thing, but I never saw that, but dang, that's rough. But I guess the really important question here that I want to answer is, did the person learn how to beat the King's Indian?
Well, you can't learn something that is impossible. That's like trying to build a perpetual motion machine. King's Indian is unbeatable.
Well, Bortnick has the white wall behind him. He's gone from his chair. Don't know where he went to.
Staring into empty space. Knight c4 by Bortnick. He's trying to get the bishop pair. I actually don't dislike the way he's playing this. Although maybe white is bishop g5. Bishop f2 by Fedoseev. He's back.
Okay, maybe just grab a little water or something, but he still looks very bothered by what's happened.
No, it's going to sting at him the entire game. And to be completely honest with you, I just don't see Bortnick pulling this one out. He has to put it behind him. He has to focus on generating winning chances here.
Yeah, and I'm looking from this game to the other game. And
let's switch.
I mean, look at Sevian's knight on a8.
I'm looking at it.
That's a good piece.
That's a fantastic piece.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's going to get out very soon.
It's going to move to b6 or c7. It's got so many options for squares, doesn't it?
Well, in all seriousness, I actually think black can play a4 and then c5 and things like that and just try to make some progress on the queen side.
So if black plays a4, I assume white's moving the knight back toward the center.
I would imagine so. And maybe I take on d4 first and then play c5. But my point is, I just need to create chaos.
Right. c5, knight c7, then maybe d5.
Yeah, or b5. Or
it's okay.
It's just what you have to do when you're in a must-win scenario.
Yeah, but you can't force it, right? You got to play the position.
Right, which is why, I think d5 might be a little too soon, but still, like, you're just getting the knight out from the corner.
Exactly. And something similar is happening. He did play a4. He did take on d4. And you are the Sevian Whisperer as well.
Yeah, but he hasn't moved.
So c5, knight c7 makes a lot of sense, though.
He did play c5.
And he's going to play knight c7.
You can pretty much pre-move it.
Question would be, I think a move that a lot of people would consider after knight c7 is c4, trying to prevent e5. But I almost feel like the medicine might be worse than the disease here. I don't know.
Yeah, because it makes b5 actually open up that rook on b8. So
bingo.
You know that black, and white, they're going to castle kingside. And something about a checkmating attack with the move b5. But, okay. I was like, bishop c4, doesn't that just walk into b5? I forgot the bishops are staring at each other.
Right.
Like, why would you allow
unconventional
b5?
Thing ever. b5 is still possible, but okay. Then black will not be able to castle.
And that is a huge deal.
Yeah, because black already can castle. Well, castling queenside, given the state of black's pawn structure, is going to be a very difficult thing to achieve.
Right. So I think Sevian needs to figure out how he can get this b5 move in on his own terms. Right now, it would just be a mistake.
I mean, you can take on c4.
Then the knight will hop around to d5.
Black's position is unpleasant here.
The way you said it was funny. It's like you just came to this realization that's surprising, but I know it's not surprising. You're just like,
That's what you've been trying to tell me like this entire time, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, now I realize.
No, it's funny the way it was said there, but I like what Sevian is doing. Even if I don't like his position, and I think you would agree his position doesn't look very pleasant right now. He's just trying to create confusion, but you have to give so much credit to Eric Hansen. Look at his clock. He's had great time management throughout these matches. Against Vidit Gujrati, he was always ahead on time. In the last game against Sevian, he was ahead on the clock. So well played by Hansen.
And he seems so chill. You know, he's enjoying this. And I love to see that. I love to see it when chess players are enjoying themselves. He's taking it very seriously, but, you know, he just seems so loose and free. He's trusting his intuition. And I've always maintained for many years now that when Eric is on good form, he can perform at a 2,700 FIDE level. Like, the guy is scary, scary good when he's on the ball. He can win Title Tuesdays. Like, he can basically beat Hikaru. He can beat anybody.
Yeah, and he in fact did win a game against Magnus as well in the Champions Chess Tour. So he's proven that he can win individual games against anybody on the planet. And right now he has a 1-0 lead, and his position does look good. But again, I do like the position from Black's perspective in the sense that it's not balanced, it's not symmetrical, it's just chaotic. And I think that's what you need if you're Sevian to have any chance at evening this matchup.
And he continues trying to unbalance it. He finally plays the move that we've been talking about, b5, which restricts the knight on c. And Eric does play c4 in a much different version.
A great move by Eric.
Yeah, that's a buzzsaw, because he's going to just rent Black's queenside pawns asunder with c takes b5.
And look at him. Look at him dancing over there.
Here he goes again.
Oh, gosh. He's listening to some techno for sure.
Yeah, he is on fire. He's on fire right now, and he's got over 10 minutes on his clock. Sam Sevian's chances are starting to slowly evaporate here.
You know, if Eric wins this game, or doesn't lose, rather, I feel like he'd want the final to be today instead of tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He'd just, come on, give me that 4-game match. I'm ready.
Without question. Without question.
Oh, obscure, but good move by Sevian there, by the way.
Knight 8-7, training on his own terms.
Yeah, you don't want to allow the knight into c4 without getting something in return. Here, a knight to b5 and into d4, that looks much more pleasant for Black than some of the alternatives.
Without question.
And in knight c4, there's knight c3 check.
Oh, and you actually almost win both of the rooks. Bang. Anytime two pieces are staring at each other, you have to notice it. Bang. And it's only -1, which is hilarious. And the reason I think it's -1 might actually be because of king c2.
And just take on d6. And
yeah, and you get a mess of a position. Queen e7,
take on
knight
c5. Oof.
Yeah. Just shows you the kind of potential that lies among White's ranks here.
Wow. But
anyways,
I don't think Eric
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's not going to blunder an exchange. And, well, I don't see why White has to take on b5, because Black is not threatening b4. You just take it, and that's why he castles. Good decision by Eric.
Good decision by Eric. Indeed, skis castle. And now his king is safe. His pawns are good. Black's position just flimsy.
Yeah, I think Sam has to play queen h5 and hope that Eric misses checkmate in 1.
Yeah, he's going to play c takes b5 there, because that's something Eric would normally do, right?
Hey, you know, you have to try to trick your opponent and come up with things. So queen h5 is not unreasonable. You want a castle as well.
Yeah, you do at some point want a castle. You cannot keep your king in the center forever.
Right. And just to point out that the other game between Fedoseev and Bortnik is not happy. This is not the type of position you want when you need to win a game. So if we can hop on over, we'll leave Eric to the dancing. You know, he's feeling everything about his life right now. But look at that knight on a8, Danya.
I'm looking at it. There's not much to look at.
Yeah, that's a very, very sad piece.
So material is equal. The one redeeming thing about the position is that White's knight on a6 might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. If you just sort of nonchalantly drop your knight back to b4, you might allow Black to close the position up and then start expanding on the queen side with c5. So you can see how this could go a little bit wrong for White.
For sure. If you just give Black all those moves, the knight gets out of the corner, that would be a problem.
What would you do here?
Can I take on d5?
Okay, I'll take with the knight.
How do I get my knight out of there? Do I need to get my knight out of there?
I mean,
Can
you
play-
could double rooks on the a file. You could play
That's
rook
what I was thinking.
a4.
Oh, rook a4. See, I was going to play rook a2, and I didn't really like that.
That's a Fedoseev move.
Sorry,
if I
who
were
was the
seeing one.
Fedoseev whisperer? I think it's
I
you.
played it.
Yeah, it's you. Great move, by the way.
Oh, this is such a nice idea. Rook fa1, and then he's going to be threatening knight c5 check.
Right. And he can bring his knight out via b4. The h4 pawn is going to be tender in many different positions.
If I'm Bortnik, I'm thinking about going c5 and knight a c7 here to resolve the tension on the queen side. But then, oh, look at all those weak squares in the center. e4, d5. The pawn on h4 is a weakness. Ew, this is nasty.
He went bishop e7, and rook f to a1 should be automatic.
And then the opportunity train on c5. That ship has sailed.
Because you
That
just
ship
take
is,
it?
yeah, you take it in rook a7. Let me show that. Bang. And now dislodging the king and disattaching it from the knight. And here you actually get checkmated.
That makes
Here.
matters a little bit worse.
Let's see if we can find the mate. c4. Here, it's mate in 3.
Like rook a3, and then either rook a4, bishop
Oh, rook
e1.
a3 is such a pretty move. Quiet. Beautiful.
And rook a4 as well as mate, so that's a problem.
Okay. Well, we went pretty far there. Rook f8 is on the board. Wait, still knight c5 now.
Looks good.
Fedoseev is not losing this, obviously.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to play knight c5 because it's not like black has a threat.
No, you can play c4.
C4 is excellent.
Yeah, c4, knight f4.
Just
And
take
then
it.
what? Okay, ef.
Well, he goes knight c3, so it is a moot point, but
It is. But yeah, c4 would have been nice. He is going for simplification.
black can't move. There's a knight on a8.
And that knight is the bane. I mean, you literally can't get it out. You can't play c5 because of tactics. Fedoseev? Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just getting the money move by Fedoseev was rook a4.
Yes.
That was the money move.
Yes.
Literally. Because that might win him some money.
It looks like he's heading in that direction, but just the way he played this game in general from the start of the game, he knew how to control the tempo. He isn't allowing Bortnik, who is really strong when you give him the opportunity to mix things up. He's not giving him tactical possibilities. So look at this position. It looks like a standard game of chess where black has an isolated pawn e5, and then there's this weird knight on a8. So even if the knight weren't on a8, it would still be great for white, but the fact the knight's over there is just game over.
Yeah, no, Vladimir is not losing this. He's got plenty of time remaining on the clock, over half his time still left. And just excellent, exquisite play by Fedoseev. And on top of that, a heroic defensive effort in the last game. This is very well deserved. In other news, shall we check back into the Mr. Hansen game?
Let's do it.
This is the current position on the board. And it's not getting any better for Sam, that's for sure.
No, but it still is hard to wrap your head around the entire
Yes.
situation here. F3 is protected. That's good for Sam.
Immodest
for
question. What if we grab? What is black going to do to us? What nefarious things does Sam Sevian have planned here?
Pawn h5 to h4 immediately. You can't do anything.
Yep, h7, h4.
Yeah, exactly. No, I got nothing for you.
You have one check on e2 if you want it. Congratulations. And just go king g2. And then the rook is hanging. No, queen takes a4. And you know, Eric, in his good form, he's not going to buy a single bluff. He's going to take that pawn, and you know it.
Well, we should remember that Jose, his problem against Sam when he was playing with the black piece in the Armageddon and he was doing very well is he didn't make moves like queen takes a4. He was kind of too deliberate, too restrained, and Eric does take a4. And it's looking like we're going to Hansen Fedoseev finale tomorrow. These two players, I mean, I think they're coming at it from different angles. Eric, he played good defense, but he's also just kind of been solid. Fedoseev's had some shaky positions, like the last game against Bortnik, where he ran his king across the board. But Fedoseev is the type of player who bends but does not break, and that's why it looks like he's going to make his way to the championship match tomorrow.
Well, I always love watching two players who are both in excellent form. That's like watching a Nadal-Federer tennis match, right? Where both players are in excellent form. You have long rallies, great saves, people keeping the ball alive against all odds. And that's the parallel that I would draw. When two of these types of players are in good form, the game is just so rich. It's so full of tactical details, and the players, they see so much. But the matches are not over yet. We know how dangerous Sam Sevian and Alexander Bortnik both are with their back against the wall.
Right, and Sevian, he puts his king against the wall into the corner with H8. And, well, he's just trying to say to Eric, you're going to have to find moves. And I think for Eric, the key to this game is doing pretty much nothing. That sounds odd, but if you start pushing your pawns, I'm going to go and win this game, that could create weaknesses. A queen c4, great move by him. He's just getting closer to the center, closer to where the action is taking place. And that queen can even slide up to d5 at some point to offer a trade.
It indeed very well could. And yeah, Eric is helped tremendously by the fact that he doesn't have to win this game. So that really changes the entire decision making. Sam is down 2 minutes on the clock. This is looking worse and worse and worse.
For sure. And yeah, this is a position that he is not thrilled to have. I mean, it's clear.
Whoa. In the meantime, we have a crazy development in the other game.
Oh, okay. What happened there?
Knight, look at this position. Alexander Bortnik is actually...
Why is there a rook on f1? Is there like a mating net?
There is an idea of going knight g3. Although white does have bishop g1 in response to that in some cases. But I think Fedoseev has messed this up a little bit.
But he only needs a draw. So as long as he's not leading himself astray from that half point, it's not the end of the world. But this looks weird.
No, but this is exactly a Bortnik type of position. This is where
100%.
This is the type of position Bortnik loves to get if he needs to win.
So we were talking about rook a7 check, rook takes 8. Now he can actually play rook takes 8 immediately because the rook on f8 is needed to defend the rook on f1. That's what he does.
And he does. And it is of critical importance that knight g3 can always be met with bishop g1. Now, I'm not saying that he should play that right now. He also has rook a7 check. But I don't know whether he should keep a pair of rooks on the board or not.
And we have both games on screen at the same time. You see that Fedoseev and Hansen with the white pieces, they're up 1-0. So Bortnik and Sevian with black need to score. And that knight did come to g3, Danya. You mentioned the bottom right. Rook h1 would be checkmate, but there is a rook on a1 that sees through the entire first rank and covers the square.
What about rook a7, a6 check?
I like it.
Because if you go to d5, then you meet a tragic
you're trying
calamity
to
with c4. Yep. And if you go to d7, then I happily gobble up your pawn on c5. Gobble, gobble. And I don't see why losing this game at all.
No. It looks like Fedoseev has things under control. And the bottom right, of course, we see the game between Sevian and Hansen. That one getting spicier. This game... Well, not so much lively. He goes bishop g5. He wants to remove the guard of knight g3.
Great move. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just typical Fedoseev. You can see on Bortnik's face. He's like, this is over.
Yeah. He's getting one uppercut after another. Shall we switch back to the Eric Hansen game? That just seems to be a little bit more pizzazz in that game.
A lot more pizzazz, and I like your use of the word pizzazz. So let's go on over there. And Sevian's doing everything you could ask of him. I'm not saying his position is good, but he at least is pushing forward towards Eric Hansen's king.
Right. He is. And he is trying to whip up counterplay. What really hurts him, that rook on b5 is so much dead weight. And Eric's knights are both in the center. They're both controlling so many squares. I mean, this is going to be just a crazy turnaround if Sam manages to win this.
Yeah, the problem for Sam is all of his pieces are left a bit dangling. Right, the bishop was under attack. You can't push c4 because your knight on d4 will be loose. Now you can't touch your f pawn because your queen is hanging on h5. So what Sam really needs somehow is like a bishop a7, c4 type of thing. You're not going to get that. Rook b6 to h6, are you really threatening anything?
Well, potentially knight takes f3 check, but because of that knight to d2, you're not threatening. And rook b6 is out of the question because of queen takes c5.
And the rook on f8 is also hanging.
Oh, God. You can't move a muscle here because something is always going to be hanging. What is Eric is very animated there.
He's like telling himself to calm down, maybe?
That's what I was thinking too. Or his chat to calm down.
Queen e8.
Queen e8. Out of necessity, not out of desire.
No. Who wants to back it up? Not Sam
like
Sevian.
A Tonka truck.
Well, he had to do so. So he did. And f4.
Do you know what song that's from?
Yes, I do. But
okay, great.
You see the eval bar?
I did see the eval bar. It went from about +4 to +0.8. Why? Is it because of rook f5? And it's not because of that move. Although the situation gets a little bit more complicated here as well.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to figure out what the move was instead of pawn takes e4.
Do you want to know the truth?
I do.
It is bishop a7.
To go c4?
To go c4. And I think the problem is that white can no longer go knight c4.
Because the e4 pawn thing.
That is the problem with Eric's move out 4. It takes his eyes off of the e4 pawn.
That makes a lot of sense. But Sam takes on e4, and Sam does not have that much time. So that's been a problem for him as he tries to mount this comeback is, he's putting some pressure on the board, but he needs to play certain moves quickly. And right now, after knight takes e4, knight d6 is an idea for... Oh, you're going rook f5 here?
But then knight e5 and the back rank mate precludes the possibility of bishop takes e5.
That's right.
And then knight d6. Okay, he has to drop back to e6. Oh.
No.
f5?
F5 looks really good.
Knee takers and then f6. No, this is over.
Yeah, you can punch that one through.
Oh, maybe f5 knight c7.
Yeah, but then you just move your queen, right?
Where do you move it?
Oh, wait. I can't go queen c4 because it's d5. Queen anywhere. It's on like queen a2.
No, but the knight on e4 is hanging.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a trap by Sam. I think that's what he's hoping for.
Like, that actually didn't even cross my mind.
It didn't cross my mind either at first, but Eric is just such a meat grinder today. Oh, wait. I was going to c4. Yep.
Knight d6 also threatens to win that rook because the fork.
It's over.
Giving no chances.
Again, and let's not forget that he has to win this game.
Does 7 with black? Are you kidding me?
No. It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
And the other game, it looks like Fedoseev, bottom right, he's got these G and H pawns, and bishops being long-range pieces, and they can help in the defense while attacking.
Yeah, he's basically can only win. You're gonna lose.
Okay, what's Bortnick kind of made a hand gesture, and Fedoseev also sort of looked away. He kind of like cowered in the corner for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, Bortnick is you can just sense the frustration through the camera screen. And sad for Alexander Bortnick. That first game was so tilting. He came so close, and somehow Fedoseev slithered his way out of what at some point looked like surefire checkmate.
Yep, as you would say, hither and thither.
Hither and thither, yeah. Just
got his king from one side of the board, h8, all the way to the other side of the board.
By hook or by crook?
Yes. Now Bortnick doesn't want to look because he's just very upset with how this match has gone. He had his chances, but Fedoseev, he's been able to hang tough.
Let's go to that game just to watch the finale. I think it's very safe to say that Eric is not going to lose his game. Now, wait a moment. I do not love the way that Fedoseev is making the draw here.
Okay.
King c2.
Bishop b6.
Offer draw.
I see what you mean, though, because it's like the type of position where if you aren't careful, you can easily blunder. For example, let's say you play king c2, rook e6.
Okay.
And after rook e2, you're like, oh, I'll just go after your c pawn with bishop b6. There's already rook e1 check. winning the rook on e6.
Knights are dangerous pieces. It doesn't matter, how many other pieces are left. You have to be very careful when you're handling a knight. That's a great line. And after rook takes e6, white doesn't even pick up the knight because the bishop's hanging.
Yeah, just full extra rook. And yeah,
but Fedoseev won't do that.
Nope. King b3. I wonder how that helps the chances for Bortnik.
I think I know. After bishop b6, he wants... I played Bortnik enough where I can just sense how his mind works. I think he wants king back to b4. And he's hoping there for rook c6, king b5.
Oh, setting up a trap.
The other thing he's hoping for is the idea of going rook g3 so that king h2 can be met with a check on f1.
Right.
And Fedoseev might be getting nervous.
He's down on the clock. I didn't even look at the time, but he's down to 1 minute, 30 seconds, and that's not a lot. It's still quite a complicated position.
It absolutely is, and we just know what Bortnik is capable of. In the meantime, Eric Hansen, he has gone into an endgame 2 pawns up, so that one is basically over.
Yeah,
as we have a beautiful 2-board view here.
Do not have to worry about Hansen's chances, that's for sure.
Hansen's chances, all right.
Yeah, there's no hope really for 7 unless a disconnection or a rook blunder happens.
You're right. And yeah, exactly. Okay, Fedoseev. He's gone bishop b6. Bortnik hesitating. I thought king b4 is basically 4. I mean, what else is there?
King b4 looks just pretty clear.
And then Fedoseev basically will need to find, I think, one more accurate idea to draw the game.
Bortnik, he's against the wall. And not just in the proverbial sense. Like, literally, he was against the wall.
Yeah, he is. And king b4 is on the board.
But d4, for example, might be a mistake.
C4?
It's c4, right.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is not over. And Fedoseev down to his last minute. We know how nervous even the top players can get in these types of situations. Rook g3.
Oh,
Rook
gosh.
g3.
And it's official. Eric Hansen has won his game, so we'll stick on the game remaining here. And look at Fedoseev going rook. Okay, that is excellent technique.
Phenomenal calculation, because he realizes that he wins the c5 pawn by force, and that essentially ends the game.
Right. Because even if black remains a pawn ahead, the g pawn's not going anywhere, and white's king is safe enough. So really nicely spotted by Fedoseev.
I wouldn't offer the draw just yet. I would go knight e3 to f5 and then try to involve your king to c3. Try to win the d pawn and then hope for a fork.
Yeah, and if your king starts wandering over, the black king that is, wandering over towards the white king, there could be some mating nets if you're not careful.
There absolutely could be. And Bortnik taking his last seconds and his last minute to generate the most amount of chances from this essentially hopeless position. Hopeless in the sense that there are no winning chances.
Knight f5 was the choice, as you call it. King c3.
That's okay. It's I've seen crazier things in my chess career.
He's giving up d3 to get g6, so you don't want to trade those last pawns. We can help it.
Watch them play rook and bishop versus rook and knight for like 50 moves. You could blunder your bishop there, and it would still be a draw.
Yeah. So is g6 being won?
Yeah, king takes d3. What's the move?
Bishop f2.
Rook g5.
Rook g5. I was thinking rook g4, king h3, but obviously.
But rook g5, king h3 anyway, and Fedoseev looks at him and says, "How do you make progress?"
You don't.
How do you make prognonandrous?
Nope.
Get that out of my sight.
Yeah, I'm rejecting that one.
Right. Denied. But don't go rook e5, because that blunders exactly the same mechanism that you showed.
Rook h5 check.
And it probably still is a draw, but Fedoseev now 40 seconds.
Yeah, no, he's allowing the king, but if king d3, rook back to e6 is his point.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of a flimsy defensive construction.
And you can sometimes forget. I know that's happened to me before, where someone goes back king d3. I'm like, no, rook e6 doesn't look right. Let me start giving checks. So the king is walking over here.
Whatever the result of this game, great job by Bortnik to generate as many chances as he has.
Agreed.
Rook a4, so Fedoseev abandons the 6th rank defense and instead involves his rook along the 4th rank to cut off the king. I mean, of course, this is a dead draw.
Right. Rook a6 check. The king can't escape anywhere.
Yeah, it's out in the open. Black can make 0 progress.
He's going to try to go king f7 and bring king to h6. No, he goes this way.
You can keep checking. You can go. Oh, no, you can't keep checking.
Rook h5, king g4. Pretty simple.
Yes, sir. And then the king potentially even walks up to g5. I would go rook h5 and knight h6. And try to push the pawn.
So what's Bortnik? King e6.
Bortnik needs that adrenaline rush of having his last few seconds.
Okay, he wants to run up to h6, it looks like.
But Fedoseev can stay on the 7th rank.
And he does.
And king g4, knight h6, I think he's going to go for it. No, rook h2.
Bishop c5. Okay, I was going to try to bring my bishop to c3, but not that it really matters.
King f4.
Don't blunder a fork. Knight e6 is threatened.
The forks galore here. King f3 I would play. Just get out of the knight's earshot. Oh, rook b7. King h6, though,
bishop
is
f8.
possible.
Bishop f8.
No, rook f2.
Oh, rook f2. Oh, my God.
And rook g5. Oh, bishop e3. Oh, he's found it. That's it. That's it. Rook g5, bishop e3.
Wow. Fedoseev did everything.
He didn't give Bortnik a single chance. And Sasha Bortnik will have to let his time run out. There is no stopping bishop f8.
Which is a draw, but a draw is a loss in the match.
Exactly. Bishop f8. And it's all over.
So Fedoseev, look at him. He still hasn't moved.
He's going to offer a draw.
His facial expression remains the same.
Do they realize that they can offer a draw to each other? And there it is. Yes, they do. And
that means Fedoseev, and this is his winning celebration. You know, some people, when they score a touchdown, they slam the football down. All he does is drink a little bit of water. That's it.
That's a pretty extravagant celebration. I really think he shouldn't go that crazy because, you know, he's got a game tomorrow, so he needs to chill the you-know-what out. That water drinking, I mean, really rubbing it in. Come on.
We now know our final two players. It's Fedoseev and Hansen, and they will meet tomorrow. And if I'm not mistaken, and I don't believe I am, they will have a 4-game match, so best of 4 rather than best of 2. And the winner of this match gets to go to Reykjavik, Iceland. So we see our bracket here, Danya. Look at this, blanking Benjamin Bach, then 1.5 over Bortnik and Hansen, blanking Gujarati and Sam Sevian. What a performance by Eric Hansen.
It was incredible. He was in such good form, and he was having such a good time. He was taking it easy, but that doesn't mean that the quality and the intensity of his play was diminished. He was reacting quickly in the opening, was getting advantages, and just a amazing performance by both winners, by both finalists today. And I cannot wait until they face off tomorrow.
And when you survive a stretch like Fedoseev did, he in game 1 against Bach was much worse, just down a pawn. Then Bach had the 2 knights for the rook. And then Bach tried to mate Fedoseev, and he's like, I'm not losing this game. And then, of course, against Bortnik in that first game, his king just darted across the board. So Fedoseev, he's had some tough positions, but he refuses to lose. Hansen, on the other hand, it feels like he's had the upper hand in pretty much all 4 games.
Yeah, he's you can tell that he's had a lot of practice in Fischer Random. He's been playing Fischer Random for years, and you know, he's got the right skill set. He's tactically creative, but he's got a solid positional foundation. His classical rating is almost 2,700. His time management is excellent. So he's got that skill set, which makes him such a dangerous opponent. Eric Hansen has his work cut out for him tomorrow.
He certainly does. That'll be a great matchup. And it is tomorrow. The final takes place tomorrow, same time, same place, here on chess.com's Twitch and YouTube. You know exactly where to find it because you're here right now. But tomorrow's action is not the same as today because today's matches were best of 2. Tomorrow will be a 4-game match, which typically favors the stronger player. But just because someone's high rated in classical, Danya, doesn't mean that they're the stronger Fischer Random player. You've been saying this from the beginning.
It certainly does not. And Eric's classical rating should be taken with a grain of salt. As I've said before, when he's on form, we've seen him win title Tuesdays. We've seen him beat Hikaru Nakamura. We have seen him perform at a 2,700 plus level. So we'll put the ratings aside. Both players have an equal shot at winning tomorrow, I think.
And while they play 4 games, it's 2 different positions. So that will be interesting where, let's say you are down 1.5 in the first position, you get a totally new one the second time around. So these 2 players, Fedoseev and Hansen, they are going to be in for a true battle against one another. They played many times in Blitz and Bullet. Now they get Fischer Random in a rapid time control. So it's very exciting stuff. And Danya, I mean, any final thoughts as we say goodbye for today and get ready for tomorrow?
Well, it was another great day of action. The premise behind Fischer Random is A, that you avoid opening theory, B, that avoiding opening theory, making the players think from the very first moves, leads to more uncompromising chess. Did we see a single draw today?
We did. I mean, we just saw a draw at the end, but
you get what I'm saying. It was a day of uncompromising action.
For sure.
Epic, just turnarounds, back and forth. The players went. They struggled. There were great moments. There were not so great moments. All of the ingredients of a fascinating tournament. That is what Fischer Random promises, and that is what it delivers every single time, including today. And I am sure that we will get the same, if not even a higher level of entertainment tomorrow. So you will certainly not want to miss this final between Fedoseev and Eric Hansen.
Definitely not. There is a ton at stake. A plane ticket to Reykjavik, Iceland to face off against Magnus Carlsen, Wesley So, who is the reigning Fischer Random champion, and Hjörvar Gretarsson, the Icelandic local invitee and grandmaster, very strong player among 4 other qualifiers. So with that, we say goodbye. There is Title Tuesday later if you're inclined to watch some Blitz chess, but bye-bye here from the World Fischer Random Chess Championship. Until tomorrow, this is Grandmaster Robert Hess and Grandmaster Daniel. What's your name again? What was your name?
I forgot.
Well, let's try that again. I'm Robert Hess, along with Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, signing off here from chess.com.
Bye.